We'll play the clip and that's it. We're starting one way
You're
or
live
the other.
anyway.
It's Andy Campbell! It's in! Campbell comes off the bench to be a hero! A superhero! Breakthrough! It's taken a while, but it's been worth the wait for Cardiff City!
Guys, I'm Si and welcome to episode number 40 of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, live only on Ace Podcast Nation. I'm your host and I'll be joined by ex-Premier League and Championship striker Mr. Andy Campbell in just a second, but you can see his pretty face just to my left, and you'll also see another exceedingly special guest which we'll introduce in a second. We're live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. And just as everyone starts to join, we'll go through some housekeeping, as it were. And as usual, you can find all our podcasts and series on youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Best way to help us out is to subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the bell, and you'll get notified every time we upload a show. We do shows on mental health, football, films, TV, conspiracy theories, MMA, boxing, and a whole lot more. We dropped yesterday a new episode of My Story where we take our guests through their life and career. Yesterday's episode was with the filmmaker, caster, actor, the man who played Lofty in EastEnders, Mr. It was a real show, and I found he also, which was quite interesting. But yeah, check that out. That's up. Tomorrow we've got the Danny Batten Fight Show, not just with myself and Danny Batten talking UFC 249, but we also have current UFC Brett Johns joining us for that extra bit of a expert analysis. As people, long-time viewers, listeners, whatever the subject, I like to get professionals or experts to talk about it. We've had on the mental health shows, we've had the best for mental health, all sorts of people. Professionals, as it were, we have joining me my usual striker, Davy Jones's favourite son, Big Daddy Campbell, Mr. Andy. How are you, my friend? You okay?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, excited for this one. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for a few days now.
Well, that's it. It's not even a few days. It was like a last minute adjustment.
Yeah,
which,
adjustment.
We'll address in a minute.
Yeah.
But also joining me, of course, adjustment, isn't it? There's a bit of a delay, but we can't do anything about that at the moment. But also joining us is former England international, ex-Liverpool, Boro, Villa, West Ham, and current Blackburn Rovers midfielder, the man who killed Cardiff City's dreams in the Carling Cup final of 2012, and I'm totally over it. Mr. Stewart Downing. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right.
So he didn't just kill you. He got man of the match, scored a penalty. It couldn't have really gone any worse.
Sorry, Si.
I know. It's not happy about it. I was there as well. I still haven't got over it. It wasn't as bad as the FA Cup final though. A couple of years before, when we played Portsmouth, that was much more painful because I was expecting to beat Portsmouth, but I didn't expect to beat Liverpool. So it kind of is what it is, I guess.
It's a good job he didn't then.
Yeah. So obviously, initially we were scheduled to have Cardiff City chairman, Mr. Mehmet Dalman, join us today, and Stewart was going to join us next week. However, sadly, Mr. Dalman suffered a death in his family, so he contacted me yesterday just to say that he was going to reschedule, which is completely understandable. It's just one of those things, sadly, and there's things which are more important than than football or podcasts or anything else. He has assured me, that he's still going to come on. He's still going to take part in the show. It'll just be at a different date. So Stewart was going to be our guest next week, which we were going to announce tonight. So I'm very, very grateful to Stewart for not just coming on a week earlier, coming on at all, but also jumping in at the last minute as well yesterday afternoon. So thank you for that, mate. Just up front, I will say that. So obviously, a big part of the show we were going to talk about today was going to be surrounding the sort of Emiliano Sala case and the agents involved, the book, and everything in between. And there was going to be some questions for Mr. Dalman. So we're not going to spend a massive amount of time on that now. But one thing you can do now is the original book, which was written by author Harry Harris, who was on the show 2 weeks back. You can now get the original, which is, I think there's only a couple of copies left of the original book. You can now get that for £6 instead of £12. It is the original book, not the extended book. And I'll put a link up in the comments in just a second, which will take you to that if you do want to get it, because it will be a bit of a collector's item, hopefully, when the family and everyone get justice. But Stewart, we did, as I mentioned to you earlier when I was speaking to you on Messenger, we had a couple of questions regarding agents. And I know, there's a specific thing which you can't really talk about because it's a legal case. So we're not going to go too much into that. But I did want to speak to you about agents generally. So, for instance, Willie Mackay is banned from being an agent in France. Yet he arranged Emiliano Sala's flight. He was involved heavily in the transfer. He was banned at the time, still banned to this day. Obviously, Emiliano Sala died. And then this past January, it was all over social media and football news sites that Willie Mackay was working on transfers to bring players from France to the UK. As someone who's involved in football over the last sort of 10 or 15 years, obviously Andy's been out of it a bit longer. How shady is the agents? How shady is that part of the game?
I think, first and foremost, lads will tell you, they've had a lot of lads have agents. There's some very good ones out there. I've had one now for the past 10, 12 years. Stu Marshall has looked after my career very well. I've had no problems with him. Very good friend of the family, etc. He's like I say, he's looked after most of my career. The start of my career, I had a problem with an agent. Ended up in a court case for nearly going on 8 years, which was an absolute nightmare, to be honest. But so you get good and bad agents. I think some of them are into line the pockets, simple as that. Some of them, just looking out for themselves, and they'll push players around clubs, just to get their fee basically. Whereas you'll get someone. I'll use my agent for example. He always asks me, what I would like or what I would want, and I think that's what they do, because at the end of the day, it's your career and it's you should have the big say in it. Your agent's there to help and do negotiations on stuff that you're not used to doing. Really, that's the whole point of employing an agent. So, but like I say, Andy will tell you, we've been in the game a long time, and you'll come across agents who you'll see, and obviously Willie's one of them who's been around a long, long time. I've never come across him, but I hear his name. He's been in the game a long time. He's got a lot of connections. I think he's living in France, if I'm right, and he's sort of got the leagues over there, quite tight for him, and he gets a lot of players. So, I've heard a lot of stories about him, true or not, I don't know, but like I say, there is a lot of agents who do a lot for themselves and line their own pockets, where you've got to be very careful who you choose wisely.
I think, Stewie, though, it's you say yourself you've had a good and a bad, same as me, but yeah, I think sometimes you would probably appreciate the good even more once you've had that bad experience. And I do a little bit of consultations with an agency now at Black Diamond Sports, and they're all nice lads, and they're not in it. Yes, they want to make money, but they're there for helping careers. It's a long journey. It's Martin Spate who's commenting now. And local fella, and he wants lads to do better for themselves, because it's all about the lad. If a lad wants to move to a club, we'll help the lad move to a club. If he wants to stay at a club, you're not going to rock the boat, because a lot of people sometimes, you've just said it yourself there, are in it to line their own pockets and move players after, move them from season to season, and that's not good for a player. You know what I mean? I'll use Paul Pogba for an example. You know what I mean? He's worth his weight in gold, but he's only worth his money if he moves from season to season. You know what I mean? And you look at Gareth Bale. You know what I mean? The Cardiff fans and the Wales fans we have on here. You know what I mean? They'd love to see him move all the time and move back to the Premiership. But he's at the minute he's settled and he's happy in Spain. And you know what I mean? It'd be worth millions to an agent to get a move to the Premier League, because that's where the money would be. But if people are settled, why rock the boat? Why cause a problem when it's not there? And you know what I mean? For me, it's all about the player. As long as the player's happy, the agent's works for the player, and that's that's as far as it should go for me.
Well, saying that, and if the player's doing well, the agent will do well anyway. So no matter if he moves or stays, if he stays and does well, he's getting a new contract. The agent's going to be paid. I understand it's a job for them; they want to be paid as well. But either way, if your player's doing well and he moves to generally when they're doing well, they're going to a bigger club on bigger money anyway. Bigger fees for the agent. And if they stay at the club, like you said, Gareth Bale, why would he want to leave Real Madrid?
I totally agree. I totally agree.
I
totally agree. And on top of that, you know what I mean, as the elite players, you know what I mean, you know yourself, when you're, you know what I mean, when you're playing at the highest level and you're playing for your country, you can get endorsements left, right, and centre. So agents can make money whilst they're generating at that team. So it's, you know what I mean, it's win-win for everybody. And you know what I mean, as long as, but the player's the most important person, because I tell you what, you know what I mean, and I found out from my own thing that when you're out of the game, you know what I mean, an agent can drop you. You know what I mean, when you're struggling to find a club and you're coming to the end of your career and you've had a lot of injuries, like, you know what I mean, and agents don't really want to touch you and they don't want to help and go that extra mile. And it's, you know what I mean, so they've also got a big part to play, because it's not just about being in the game, it's to see that transition out the game as well, because you know what I mean. There's a long life after football. You know what I mean. And it's how they've got the role to play as well as a PFA have and other industries have as well.
No, I agree. I remember I had a longer term injury when I went to Aston Villa and living on my own. You know, I didn't have kids and wife or anything then, and you know, my agent popped down to see me. He travelled to the hospital in Southampton. I mean, he didn't have to do that. He'd already been paid. He'd got his fee. He could have just went, well, just get on with it now. But little things like that, I think, go a long way. And that's what I mean. These agents who are in for themselves, as soon as they've done your contract, you probably won't hear from them for another 2-3 years until it's time to move again. Yeah,
well, that's interesting what you just said that, because you know what I mean. I think that's what people don't get and understand, that you know what I mean, the amount of time that you do live on your own. You know what I mean. This isn't a sob story, by the way. You know what I mean, that you're away from your family, you're on your own, you're very lonely, you're stuck in a hotel or stuck in your own place for 15, 16 hours a day. You know what I mean? It's a long time. You know what I mean? You can drive yourself up the wall, because you try not to go out. You try to do the right thing. You try to eat healthy. You try to live your life proper, because you've got to focus a Saturday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday game. And it's such an emotional roller coaster that it can be the best job in the world one minute and then you hate your life the next. And it's such a up and down scenario. And it's the best job in the world, but at the same time, I've had weeks, days, months, years where it can be the worst job in the world as well. And you know what I mean?
It's a game of emotions, isn't it? It's
of course
like
it is.
You have a good game, you have a good week. If you have a bad game, it's on your mind for a week. And I suppose you can put it right in a couple of days. But like you said, it's a game of up and downs. But you wouldn't change it for anything. But
no, you've got to. It's such a short career as well, that you know what I mean. You've got to give it your all and have no regrets, because when you, like I said, when you're out the game, it's, you know what I mean, it can play mind games with you and play tricks with you, but as long as you've given what you've got and the ability what you're at, then you know what I mean, for me there's no comeback for it at all.
So Stuart, Reese, David Evans there, just asking, have you heard any stories about agents going rogue against what their players' wishes are? And then when Stuart's answered there, and same for you, mate, because I'm still trying to sort out this issue.
Go on, Stewie.
I've heard stories. I've been on England trips and stuff like that, when I've heard of players saying that, you know, when they went at the club to sign, they said, "Oh, you're getting this say amount of excess a week," and he said, "No, we agreed this," and the agents put it into his fee, and little things like that. Where, you know, which I don't know what to say. What the fee was, say £1 million, and it's ended up being 1.1 because he's took £100,000 out of the player's wages and he's been cut. I mean, if they're getting £1 million, why do you need that? You know, just to mess maybe the full deal up, maybe lose your client for the sake of £100,000, which you're going to make on another player anyway. So I've heard little things like that going on. I wouldn't probably like name the player because I might get him into trouble, but you know, little things like that go on. and which to me is diabolical, really.
Yeah, well, I think also as well when you've got agents who are touting your clients around, putting names in papers, and for me that can go against the player because it puts you under so much pressure on a Saturday to play well. Because if you're touted that you're going to get a move or a certain club wants you, you know what I mean, and it's not true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, fans are on your back, putting pressure on you, and it's such a, you know what I mean, it's such unnecessariness for me, and you know what I mean, it's such a, it just doesn't need to happen. You know that. Agents are good when they're good, you know what I mean, but it can have a negative impact because if you have a bad game, like you've just said there, you're no good to anybody. So it's got to be for the best wishes of the player, and hopefully that hopefully things improve because you said there, Stu, there's loads of good agents and there is, you know what I mean, but the Willie Mackay, especially this deal here, what from Emiliano, it's given agents such a bad name and given football a bad name because unfortunately someone's lost their life, and I'm not saying it was directly at fault, you know what I mean, because there's still a story to tell and there's still evidence to give, but you know what I mean, there's so many grey areas now in a situation where family wants a bit of resolution and wants justice and as a dad, as a family man, I would want that as well. So you know what I mean. So I can totally understand where people are coming from. But at the end of the day, it's a matter now for the authorities to then take over and see where that can go.
Questions, isn't it?
Yeah, there's one of my nephews there. So Shay, who's my agent? Do you know what? My first agent was when Gaza was at Middlesbrough, and it was Mel Steen. So Mel Steen obviously had Gaza, he had all these top players, and then. You think you've made it, don't you, when you've got this big agent when you're 16, 17-year-old because you walked in the first team, and it's such a nice thing, but you know what I mean. But you've got to earn it. You've got to earn the right to have these kind of names and things, and you know what I mean. Mel was spot on with me. Never had a problem. I think my brother used Mel to get his move from where did he go from? Doncaster to Southend, I think, or Scarborough to Southend, and. You know what I mean? Back in the day, we used to have to pay agents ourselves out of our own money. They didn't put the fees on top of to pay the clubs. So things have obviously changed massively in regards to that. So how football's changed apparently. So.
So Andy is my agent for anyone who wants to know.
Yep.
Also,
fees massive as well.
Yeah. I'm having a few issues with my connection because there's people trying to join the call rather than watch the chat because it's a different link.
That could be my fault.
So I kind of guessed that because I forgot to tell you that it's a separate link, but it's fine. I'm hoping that they can hear me now so that they'll just, if you go to YouTube or Facebook, you can watch it. But yeah, it is what it is. So
it's probably me mum trying to get on.
You should get her on, and have a little chat. I just wonder what FIFA could be doing. They could be doing better to ensure that people like Willie Mackay, under the current circumstances where there's still an investigation into someone's death going on, that maybe. When he's, considering he's banned in France from working on transfers, if I know about it and I've got absolutely no links to, football or football clubs or anything like that, it's kind of like, maybe they should be doing something, even if it's not very much. But it is what it is, I suppose. Go on, Andy.
Oh, sorry. While we're talking about agents and contracts and stuff, so obviously I can link in to something. So,
professional.
Yeah, always. So, Stewie, did I read right? Are you out of contract in the summer?
I am, yes.
So, the biggest bugbear I've got with what's happening with COVID-19 is they're asking players to play.
Yeah.
When they're going to be out of contract, basically, you know what I mean. So, my question to you and to every other player who's out of contract, because I've asked myself the question if I was still playing and I was in a position like you are. Or younger, and it was. Are you going to walk into are you sign a pre-contract agreement with somewhere else? That how's the club? How's the club going down this route? Are they expecting you to play and finish the season knowing that you're not going to be contracted?
In terms of me, man's a tricky one because I was half in a negotiation about an extension. So
right, okay.
But say for instance, I wasn't. I think the gist of it, what we're getting from the manager is all contracts will be extended, because even if the season's only say another month long, you can't move to another club anyway. So and I think if you have a contract and you don't sign for another club, you actually get paid for an extra month anyway from the club.
Yeah. But what happens though? What happens though if you've signed a pre-contract agreement? So your contract runs out on June the 30th, 31st, 30th.
Yeah.
And your new contract, let's say at Leeds United, for example, would start on July the 1st.
Yeah.
How would that work out? Because it's just, it just opens a can of worms, doesn't it? I watched an interview with Derek Adams at Plymouth Argyle, and he said that obviously they're going for promotion. They've got an opportunity to get the League One, and he said he's got 6 players in contract who have agreed to play, and the rest at the minute the 50-50 they're going to finish the season. And I think you know what I mean, because the low down league you go, you know what I mean, can they afford to take the risk? You know what I mean, teams probably won't negotiate new contracts as early as probably Championships, Premier League clubs will, even the top League One clubs will. So it's such a awkward
the big
situation.
Thing with that, Andy, is, can you imagine, say you've signed a pre-contract to say you, for instance, Leeds United, and then you extend your month, let's say, for instance, Blackburn, and then you get injured in that month, a bad injury, touch wood, that doesn't happen. Yeah. Who covers that legal bill? Is it Leeds? Is it?
Totally agree. Totally agree. Well, we've said the same thing, and you know what I mean. I'm not. You know what I mean? I want football to finish, but I want it to finish right. I want it to finish proper, and you know what I mean. At the minute, I can't. You know what I mean? I can't see an ending to what's happening after what happened yesterday about what Boris came out with and stuff in the Premier League and in Germany. People are contracting the virus still, and you know what I mean. For me, you know what I mean. You're a dad, you're a husband. You know what I mean. You've got parents. You know, you've got family members. You know what I mean. You're potentially putting yourself at risk for the love of the game, for you know what I mean, for a job, you know what I mean. So it's such a difficult thing, you know what I mean, because Sergio Aguero came out week before to say he was very scared about coming back and playing football, because end of the day it's a job, it's a very well paid job, it's a high privileged job, but it's just a job. It's not bigger than life. It's not bigger than, you know what I mean. It's such a tough one, because you know what I mean. All players want to play, of course they do, because I bet you're pulling your hair out, you're walking at walls. You know what I mean. You're training on your own. I've seen the training, what you've been putting on social media and stuff, and you know what I mean. But that's not what you do. You want to be out there pinging balls about, taking free kicks, taking set pieces, doing keep ball, doing your normal stuff. You know what I mean. And training with your missus and training on your own is just I bet it just must be just tedious, because you've got a season to finish, 9 games, and then you've potentially got a short break going into another season again straight away, and it's just the most surreal thing.
I see one today on Sky, they're saying an owner of a club said if the players refuse to play, then he won't pay them, and I'm thinking that to me doesn't sit right, because you're basically using players as a guinea pig, thinking, well, we'll just send them back because we need millions of pounds in our club as revenue. And if they get ill, and then we'll just kick them to the curb in 6 weeks' time when they're out of contract, which to me, it doesn't sit right. And I see, Rooney come out and said, like, when at the start, didn't he criticised the government and stuff. I think there's a lot of things that need to be answered before they can just say, well, let's just try and get them back in June, because how does it work with social distances?
Apart from Blackburn Rovers, Stewie, is the FA, the PFA, the league, EFL, has anybody spoke to the players and asked them if they want to go back and play?
No.
No,
the only contact we've had with the PFA is obviously the referrals and stuff like that, which will go through the players and the club reps and all the legal bit of it. But apart from that, no one said. Obviously, the manager will have conversations saying, "I understand if you've got your wife, your kids, you do it. Touch wood. One of their family members could be ill. They don't want to go to training. Come on, pass that on and have to live with that." So I'm with Andy. I just can't see how they're going to finish it unless there's a vaccine or it all of a sudden clears up, which is not going to. When you look at the guidelines, he's saying it could be months, but then they're going to start the league in a month's time. I don't see how that works.
No, but he's on about starting training. He's on about wanting to start the league on June the 16th, and you know what I mean. Having deadlines for me is a dangerous thing, because it gets people's hopes up. It causes a problem. Look at Germany. Germany is due to start next Saturday. You've got teams who've got players contracting the virus. They're having now to quarantine for 2 weeks. They're going to be 2 weeks behind everybody else. How on earth does that? It doesn't sit right. It doesn't. It's not ethically right. It's not morally right. It's not physically right, mentally right for anybody to start a job if you're not 100% bang on behind it. You know what I mean? And everybody's got to be in the same thing, because people are saying, well, just just play without those three players. Well, hang on a minute. Let's say Blackburn Rovers. You know what I mean? You're going for you're trying to get in the playoffs. Stewart Downing, can't play. Bradley Dack, I know is out injured. Danny Graham, Adam Armstrong. You know what I mean? Three of your best players, three attacking players, can't play because you've got this virus, and then you lose 4 games in them 2 weeks. It's not fair. It's not fair. You know what I mean? And
I think our manager's quite very understanding with that. He's quite a good, he's a family man. He's quite close to his players, and he says, "Listen, lads, I understand everything. If you say to me, say for instance, we go in and do social distance training, he might say, listen, if you want to stay at home, I understand. He's not going to say, well, if you don't come in, you don't play. He's not that type of man. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think there'll be some managers who will say, if you don't come in and play or don't train and you don't play for me, you can. Yeah. I've certainly played for a few who would say that. And it's just totally wrong.
It's the old school mentality, Stewie, isn't it? But at the same time, though, they're also getting pressured by chairman, who are also getting pressured by the bank manager, who are also getting pressured by chief executive, because unfortunately money talks, and the money in the Championship is just as important as the money in the Premier League, because the carrot at the end of it to get promoted, to get that Premier League money, is absolutely huge. And unfortunately, it depends how you look at it. You know what I mean? The likes of the Leeds United, if Leeds United don't go up this year, I'll massively fear for them, because they'll lose players left, right and centre, because the best players will get cherry-picked. Yeah. You know what I mean? They've worked so hard this year. They deserve to go up. They deserve the opportunity to go up to see if they can hold it in the Premier League. You know what I mean? It's just our show especially. People think that we're anti-Leeds, we're anti-Liverpool, because we don't want... we're not keen on the league finishing right now. Well, end of the day, I want the league to finish, but I want it to finish everyone fit and healthy, nobody else dying. Yeah. But that's an impossibility. We start going out the parks, we start going out watching football games, playing football games, training, doing this, doing that. It's going to spike again. It's going to be a bigger problem, and you know what I mean. And then families are going to get ill, and and you've also got to live with that for the rest of your life as a human being. You know what I mean? Because you might not put yourself at risk, but you're putting tens of thousands of other people at risk, and it's not for me. But.
So if you look at it this way, like the lockdown measures technically are supposed to be lifted Wednesday, or loosened Wednesday, and they're looking to play from June. So today there was traffic jams on the certain motorways around the country, because everyone, understandably, people want to get back to work, of course, but straight away you've got traffic jams. You've got 3 Brighton players have tested positive, where they've gone back to training and they're testing players. Because remember, I don't know about Blackburn, Stuart, but none of these players, while they've been at home, have been tested for the virus. So no one knows how many of these players have got the virus, because they could be asymptomatic, so they could be carrying it, but they might not be showing any symptoms at all. And then all of a sudden, you're going to put them in a room together. You're going to do tests and stuff to get them back into training. And it's never ending. And at the end of the day, we've been saying for weeks on this show is that it's more important that no one dies because of football than it is to finish the season, no matter how harsh that is for whoever, Liverpool, teams lower down the leagues. Even the clubs which are going to struggle to stay in business more so than the bigger clubs. But I do feel like the Premier League at the moment is very much focused on the Premier League and not the Championship and the EFL. And going on from that, like you mentioned just a minute ago, or Andy mentioned, I think, that they don't seem to be considering whether the players are comfortable going back to play. And I think that's a massive issue, because I think I said, and a couple of weeks back, that I knew of 2 players from a certain Premier League club who weren't comfortable playing because they've got family members who are quite seriously ill. Yeah. So should they, and they're quite a big club, by the way, should they be forced to play? And then you had the other thing we added in last week, where you had some players are annoyed because some Premier League clubs have said, like what Stewart said, his manager said, if you're not comfortable coming in or you're not comfortable playing because of your circumstances, then you don't have to. Whereas other players or other clubs might be getting a bit frustrated because they feel like they're being forced to come in.
It's a difficult one saying it because no person can be forced to do anything. You know what I mean? We've said before previous shows that, you know what I mean. There's times without this happening that Stewie will tell you, you know what I mean, that lads don't play because something's happening in your personal life. That there's something outside of football which means that you can't give 100% focus in football, so you don't play. And with this happening, it takes your focus away from football. You know that. Frank Lampard came out on Wednesday and said that when they do come back to training, he needs a month to get them fit. We haven't got a month. He hasn't got a month on top of going back. So, and then he's got 9 games to finish the season. So we ain't going to finish the season until close on Christmas, and then he's going to do another season. It's not realistic now. You know what I mean?
It's the knock-on effect for years, mate, as well, isn't it? For the Euros,
and I don't think the clubs can afford to keep playing. The clubs can't afford to keep playing. Say, for instance, there's about 7 of us, I think, out of contract. They can't keep paying us for 7 more months here to finish the season when they haven't got the money to do that. And then so it just goes on and on, like you said, the backlog.
You can't do it. You can't do it. There's got to be a means to an end. You know what I mean? So someone's got to make a decision. And I've said, who's in charge of football? Nobody knows. No one's making a decision. Who's in charge of the Premier League? Is it Premier League? Is it Sky? Who is it? You know what I mean? For me, UEFA should have just said the whole of football. The whole of football's unfortunately coming to an end because of a world pandemic and a world issue. You know what I mean? We're at war. We're at war with somebody. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
say the Premier League goes ahead and the Championship didn't. That just tells you the big story, which is money.
And if that does, mate, then it just makes a mockery of the whole thing because so the Championship can go points per game and teams get stitched up, relegated, promoted, playoffs, whatever. You know what I mean? And then they're on about not having relegation. You know what I mean? And that's what some like Brighton want the season to finish, so they stay up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Villa have got something like 6 games out of 9 at home. So you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm now talking about a club, Stu. What's close to your heart? You know what I mean? One of your ex sides. You don't want to see your ex teams go down. People you still got friends with it. It's a football club. You know what I mean? But this has got to be fair for everybody. And you know what I mean? You can't do this points per game because. Some people might play Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, 5 games. Someone might play Norwich, West Ham, Villa. You know what I mean? You've got to be. You play 38 games in a season, and it's how good you are during those 38 games, not 20, not 29. You know what I mean? And we just wing the rest. It's about a full season, including the cups, what we've done already, and we go from there, you know. So you know, for me, it's just got decision's got to be made. We can't be keep on having the same conversation. We've now had 7 weeks of this conversation, Si, and we're still no further ahead.
I think we're back.
Here's another aspect to it which we haven't really touched upon over the few weeks, and a few different people have just brought it up in the live chat. So Daniel Joseph says. 2 teams in the tunnel, you're not going to get social distancing. I suppose you could do, one team comes out first, but still. Then you've got someone else said about, it's a contact sport. You can't, as Matt Emery says, it's a contact sport. You cannot play the game at present. There's no way you can do it. And then you've got Gaz says, show is legendary, so good every week. Thanks for that, Gaz. I thought I'd read this one because he got a nice little compliment at the start. But he also says, what about marking at corners, players spit, which I know people will say, oh, they don't have to spit, but it's not a case of, they're not, players often are not spitting because they're trying to be, disgusting or whatever. It's because of the build-up of saliva in your mouth from running.
But do you know what, Si, right? So I heard that story last week that they're on about banning players from spitting, right? Right. Well, just take that with a pinch of salt for a little bit. I went for a run the other day, and I tried not to spit when I went for a run. You know, it was a red hot day. You know what I mean? And by the time I'd finished, I was nearly going to have a heart attack because my whole saliva. You know, I didn't have a drink with me. You know what I mean? So they're asking players to do something out of the ordinary. Imagine, you know what I mean, that you might as well not breathe then, because it's not. You're not going to just contract it. You're not going to contract it just by spitting. You know what I mean? If you've you know what I mean, that means you can't cough, you can't sneeze. You know, where does it end? You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous.
What about this then? What about this, Stu? Say when they start up now, Tottenham are playing. They have a corner, and whoever they're playing score free header. Do you think Jose Mourinho is going to accept that his defenders weren't touch tight because it was social
Doesn't
distancing.
accept a lot at the minute, does he really, Jose? He's not.
no,
Never.
But then,
You know
you've also got the, you know what I mean? Stewie scores a goal which wins the playoff final. Does he celebrate on his own because no one's allowed to go and give him a cuddle or high five him? Yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Like Liverpool win the league, no one celebrates because you're not allowed. Because you're not allowed to hug or high five each other.
Mate, judging by VE.
Exactly.
Liverpool will be rammed.
Exactly. It's the most ridiculous thing people are talking about. It's just, you know what I mean? People are there's going to be parties. There's going to be players are going to celebrate on the pitch. Or they might not do it on the pitch. In the changing room, you can't tell me they're not going to cuddle each other, hug each other. You know what I mean? And celebrate, have showers. It's just, you know what I mean? You've got to be realistic here. You know what I mean? If you're letting it go back, then unfortunately people are going to get poorly because it's rife. It's here. It's real.
But do you know what?
Real.
I am, without delving into politics too much, because that's like my one thing I don't like to talk about on any of the shows. But it's got to be said, I rewatched Boris's thing yesterday, and I've got to say it feels like they want people together, because it's like go to work, don't go to work, but go to work. Don't go on public transport, but go on public transport. And it's like, it's difficult to not think that they're going to be nicely isolated in the Houses of Parliament whilst everybody else has got to go to work because they need the money. They need, they've been struggling for 8
again,
weeks.
isn't it? It's economy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wish I lived in Wales against Si after watching that yesterday. I really do. Really do.
Oh,
really do.
Well,
really
we're all right because they haven't lifted it in Wales.
Yeah, I know. Sensible.
It's madness, isn't it?
Sensible.
Well, I don't know. I called Wales sensible after the stories I saw all over social media from VE Day on Friday.
I think I've gone a bit too far there. Like,
yeah,
gone a bit too far there.
If you were in a hospital drunk on Friday and you were abusing NHS staff or fighting with kids and vulnerable people around and blood everywhere, so they had to deep clean the waiting room, you need to really have a long look at what you're doing with your life, because without swearing, because I do try not to swear on this show. I don't always succeed. But you are a massive twat. But anyway. Right, I'm going to just go. Got loads of people have sent in questions. I was going to try and keep them for when they sort of come up, but there's so many that I'm going to end up forgetting people, and I don't like to do that because I think it's rude. So, let's have a look what we've got. Martin Spiked would like to know... he just made a comment. He says, inspiration to all young footballers involved with the Boro. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate the compliment. I'm sure they'll be interested in these two as well. So look, there's a couple of compliments for Stewie, saying about he was unbelievable in the youth.
Too many.
Reserves.
Too many.
Yeah. Just talk amongst yourselves while I go through these. No, you are.
That's probably on my mates.
Yeah, I think it is. Stewie, to be fair. Stewie, do you know what day it is today? Do you know what happened on this day in 2008?
We beat Man City 8-1, didn't we?
Yeah, I seen your goal, mate. Oh my god. Oh my
Screamer.
god. Outside the left foot volley. And do you know what? It wasn't even the best goal of the game.
I know. It's amazing when you shut your eyes,
I know. Tell me about it. I did about 25 times in my life. All my goals.
Oh, what a day!
All right, here you go. So Leslie says, is it true you used to play football in your penthouse with Uncle Craig? I don't know what that means. So look, Christian says, Stuart, who was the best player you played against? Same question for you, Andy. So start with Stuart, the star.
Best player I played against? In terms of like a right back or something, or do you mean in any position?
I think he just means generally, best player you've ever played against.
I think it was Ronaldo's last season at Man United. Remember his 50-odd goals? I think that season he was right wing and I was left. Pretty phenomenal, because I remember playing against him a few years before and he was quite slight and tricky, and you remember when he first come on the scene and like bit of a show pony one, like people said, but that season I remember looking at him for the game thinking, what has happened to him?
Yeah, no, something happened, didn't it? Yeah,
do you remember when he scored that
came
goal?
Back a different animal, didn't he?
Yeah.
Remember when he scored that goal in the I think it was the Cardiff Cup final in the Millennium Stadium, when they beat Millwall 4-0, and he scored his goal and he took his top off, and he was like, he had gone from like this scrawny teenager to like this just machine, and then the next season he was just unplayable. So
he's never looked back.
Him then,
never looked back, has he? Really? After that, he's never.
The change in him in that 2 years was frightening. I mean, like I said, I remember looking at him when he first played against him, and then 2 or 3 years. I mean, this is like a different man. He was like strong,
quite
quick.
tall as well, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's 6'2", 6'3". He could leap as well. Just phenomenal, like you say. From then on, he kicked on. I mean, I'm talking over that 2 seasons where he was unbelievable. If you're on about a long term, like 15 years, he was the best player. Obviously, there's players I played against for 15 years who've like Rooney's and Gerrard's and people like that. But just for that season alone, I think when you look like they got 50 goals, like he was a winger really. He's not centre forward. He's a winger.
He wasn't playing centre forward.
I think when you're on about good players, Stewie, it's easy to have one good game, isn't it? You know what I mean? When you're directly against somebody and somebody has a good game against you, or you see someone have a good game, and you never really see him sustain it. You know, I mean that's teammates for yourself or whatever. You know, or even yourself. Sometimes that you want to sustain that kind of level, and for people like Cristiano and Leo Messi and the Rooneys of this world and the Beckhams, you know what I mean, to sustain a level like that all of the time, you know what I mean, with the pressure what goes with football and the expectation, you know what I mean, it's just so it's just exhilarating. It just makes you, you know what I mean, in awe of these kind of players, because like you said earlier on about agents, about money, and when players are at the elite level and doing what they're doing, it just looks after itself. And you know what I mean? And that's basically what it does, because players look after themselves properly, correctly, you know what I mean, and go to the levels that they've gone to and staying at that. It's just an absolute joy to watch, and you just like that's why we're missing football, because we're missing all these kind of world-class footballers, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Because end of the day, football's going to be so different with no supporters, so we're going to be entertained by players, and it's going to be players who are going to be doing the entertaining, and long may it continue, but these top quality world-class players entertaining us.
True.
Yeah, Mark says, who's the best gaffer you ever played under, Stu?
Oh, there's been a few, Stewie, haven't there?
Oh, that's an hard one. That, I mean,
been a few here.
I played for some all different styles as well of management. And in terms of if you look like my career sort of thing, I mean, Martin O'Neill signed me for Aston Villa. This would never happen. How it happened, I don't know. Injured, so. Boro fans will know I broke my foot on the second last game of the season against Aston Villa, and I was due to move that January and stay till the end of the season. Sort of an agreement. I think it was time to move, and I got injured and thought, well, that's that gone. I'm here for another. I've been told I'm out for 9 months with a ruptured foot, so I thought, I'm in the Championship. I'm here for a year at least, and then go on holiday in the summer. I think it was Keith Lamb actually who rang me. Remember Keith, Andy, only?
Yeah.
He rings me and says, we've had a bid accepted from Aston Villa. I knew they were interested in the January, but I thought that's gone to bed now. Martin O'Neill wants to speak to you. He wants you to go down the training ground. We've accepted a fee. They want to sign you. And I just said to Keith, how? I've got a pin in my foot. I'm on crutches. I can't play till December. Listen, he wants to speak. So I drive down to Villa with my agent. Get there. He's sat in the office. And if you've ever met Martin O'Neill, dead witty, very, very good manager. He said to me, listen, the chairman won't do it. You're injured, you can't pay for 6 months. I said, well, why have you got me here? He said, because I want to do it. And I'm going to tell him I'm going to do it. And he was dead adamant. So to me, I said, listen. And he said, you get fit. And I've told the chairman, I'll sell you on for more money. And I was like, wow. Straight away, I'm thinking, I want to play for him.
I was going to say, Stewie, how did that make you feel then? You know what I mean? Because when the manager does that for you and goes an extra mile, well, and more, you know what I mean? I bet when you did get fit or getting fit, you know what I mean? You just want to run through a brick wall for him, you know what I mean? You just want to, you couldn't as a player do any more than what you can do for him, you know? That's just, that's the best thing ever, that.
Oh, he was unbelievable. And he even said to me, go and get your dad down, I want to speak to him. And he was just like, I was thinking, this is unbelievable. And he said to me, listen, you're no use to me now for 6 months. I probably won't talk to you. Get on with your rehab. I'll get on with my team. When you're ready to fit, you'll play. And I just thought, what do you mean you're not going to talk to me? You just sign me. And he was like, you're no use to me. So this is what I mean. He's very up and down, man. You got to work him out. And I thought, right, okay, I've never worked so hard in my life, honestly. Monday to Friday, let me have every weekend off, which for an injured player is unheard of, because you don't get weekends off. Get yourself out in the middle, see your mum and dad. You knew I was living on my own. Back on a Monday, work all week. Anyway, I got fit around November time, a little bit early. He said to me, are you ready? I said, yeah, feel good. And we had a game on the Saturday. He said to me, be ready for Tuesday night. We're playing Portsmouth away in the cup. You're going to play. Right, okay, so I got myself ready, played. We won 5-2. I scored my first goal for Villa. And then we had 6 months of unbelievable. Honestly, it was unbelievable. With the team, was brilliant. Went into it. We were semi-final of the FA Cup. Got beaten in the Cardiff Cup final by Man United. We had an unbelievable run. And I just love playing. Honestly, he's man. Didn't speak to you through the week. Didn't say a word. Probably could ignore you, and you're thinking, "Oh God, he's not happy with me or something." Then come the Saturday, comes alive, tells you the best player in the country, the best winger. He just makes you feel on top of the world. And he had Brian Clough about him. That's what he based his management on, I think. And he was just unbelievable to play for. And he left at the end of that season. He had a fallout with the manager. The chairman, Randy Lerner, and he left, and I was absolutely devastated. I was thinking, this was.
But you can't really learn those traits of man management, though, Stewie, can you? You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean. You've got a group of players who will run through a brick wall for a manager who treats you the way that he does, and you know what I mean. It's
coaching.
No, and to be fair, I seen the squad at the time, and the James Milners, and you know what I mean. The Villa were inundated that year with some unbelievable players. That's the best squad of players that the Villa have ever had. You know what I mean? And probably without the money that they've got now. You know what I mean? Like now they can go and potentially go and splash the cash and go and bring players in, but they won't be able to bring in the quality what they had that year. You know what I mean? They're actually young. You know what I mean? They had an unbelievable set of players. You know what I mean? And
we just
obviously
played.
got the cup final, didn't you? You played against United in the League Cup final. You got beat 2-1.
We should have won. Vidic should have been off after 5 minutes. We were unlucky. And
saying that.
we didn't do a lot of coaching. We played 5-a-side every day. That was it. Didn't practice corners or anything. On match day, I remember one of the early games I said to him, we were playing against someone, and all he used to say is, you and Ashley Young just swap sides. If he's not getting any joy, you swap side. Just play. Just play. That's what it was. Yeah. 2 wingers, get the ball, get at them, play. And I just said to him, what do you want me to do? And he was like, what do you mean? So what do you want me to do? I was playing left wing. And he said, well, just do what you did at Middlesbrough. That's why I bought you.
And that's quality that though, because it's
simple.
It takes the pressure off you though. You know what I mean? That you don't have to complicate your game and think, what does the manager want me to do? You know what I mean? So I'm impressing him. You know what I mean? I'm impressing him by doing what I do because he's bought me because of what I do. Yeah. And you're the most important person because you're the player, and you know what I mean? That's fantastic man management. That man, fantastic.
Sorry, I've rabbited on there about man.
Hey, no, it's all right.
Now, but
all right, I like that.
No, I don't.
I played for many different managers. Like Sam Allardyce was unbelievable as well. He didn't say a lot to me. He just let me play. He'd shout and ball at other players. And like when he said that doesn't get the best out of you, yours is I'll let you play. And then he changed my position to a number 10. All stuff like that. I mean, he had different management. He was one of the lads, and you know, we'd have nights out and he'd be there, and then he'd training had to be serious. You know, people didn't see that side of Sam, but training had to be done right. He was big on stats and body.
Well, I played for Sam, Stewie, and I'm going back. Well, when am I going back? I'm going 98. 97, 98, when he was at Bolton, and he was the first manager where I came across. He was massive in his sports science. You know what I mean? I've never been as fit. He had his, you know what I mean? His training through the week, not pre-season, was ridiculous. We did a 1,000-meter run on a Monday. You know what I mean? And it was just ridiculous. Yeah. But everyone knew the standards what you had to keep up to. You know what I mean? He had a different management style to what I was used to. Obviously, with Brian Robson at the time, that he'd come in one day, he'd just be sipping a cup of tea and not saying anything. The next minute he'd come in and be screaming and shouting, and I liked it. For me, it was the unpredictableness that you know what I mean. You didn't know what was coming, because if someone comes in and they shout all the time, it just becomes a noise and it just becomes not bothered. Where you need a manager to keep you on your toes. You need to be second guessing people and thinking all the time. And he was, I thought he was top. He was top manager, top drawing, and it didn't surprise me getting the bigger jobs, the West Ham jobs, the England job. You know what I mean? That cream always rises for me, and he was always a top manager, always going to go destined for better places.
He surprised me, I'll be honest, because I had the tag of the Bolton, but obviously he had very good players at Bolton, but just the stat side and all that. He got me in his office and he was like, "You do this and you've done this and it," and I was like, "Wow!" Like he knew everything. Like you couldn't hide. Couldn't hide. He was good. I loved him.
Yeah. I was going to ask you both actually then about Sam Allardyce, in that I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves for the kind of the innovations that he made off the pitch for Bolton with things like sports science and stuff like that. Because I think people write him off as like from the out, people who don't know him or are not familiar with him, they write him off as like a long ball manager who plays the percentages and this, you know, and there's clearly an aspect of that to his style, but I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for the sports science.
Asai as well. If you can,
would you go with that?
If you can bring in Yuri Jokayev, JJ Kocher,
Ivan Campbell,
Michael Ricketts, Suarez, Kevin Nolan. You know what I mean? You can bring through all these types of players. Colin Hendries. You know what I mean? He was unbelievable man manager, and he was bringing players out of probably non-existence at certain clubs, and they were coming back and revitalising themselves within football and going to another level. And you know what I mean? For you know, same as I probably put Bolton in the same category as Middlesbrough. Not a very fashionable club, but players who would go there to probably as a last resort to revitalise their career. And you know, it wouldn't have been a financial reason why players went to Bolton. You know what I mean? No offence to Bolton. You know what I mean? Because they went there for Sam to go and play for him and probably for Bolton Wanderers. So you know what I mean? Fair play to them. And look where they ended up under him.
Unbelievable.
Tells a story.
I just think he just gets the balance right. He knows how to judge people. Like you say, like he might hammer Kevin Nolan every day because he's his captain and he knows he's like a bit of a son to him. He can hammer him, and that's the message to the team. Yeah. So
no favourites. No favourites. Yeah.
He did no favourites, and then with me, like the lads you say, I never shout at you, but he might have thought, well, shouting at me might not get the best out. I think he was very good at judging people. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, he could have bollocked me, but he never ever did. And I went to speak to him a few times. He offers, do you need me to do? What do you want me to do? And he used to say, no, I want you to do this. And then he'd hammer someone else. He could be aggressive with, say, Mark Noble, who was captain, who could take it. And he was just good. I mean, like I remember the first week on another story. So I signed on the Thursday. I think we played Cardiff, first game of the season in the Premier League. We won 2-0. I don't know if you remember. It was Upton Park, the old bowling.
He'll remember.
Sorry, you get that one in. And on the Saturday night, the lads said, "Oh, we're having a night out." So I said, "All right, okay." Just got there, had a night out into Essex. Coming on the Monday, and Big Sam walks past and goes, "I was Essex after night," and I've melted like, "Oh no, I've only been here 4 days. He knows I've been out already." And I went, "Oh, I didn't go." And he went, "You didn't go?" He went, "I thought the lads would take you." So he'd organised the night out, and it was like we all went out, didn't buy for a drink all night. The lads, he made sure that he says, "On your debut, you don't pay for a drink." And then come the Monday, we have to back to work again. He just got the balance of everything right.
Yeah, I don't think sometimes that kind of I think that's missing sometimes the team camaraderie, the togetherness, and you know what I mean. Like, certain managers have got that, but I think sometimes the money and the carrot at the end, not for the players, but more for the clubs, that it scares clubs in doing that kind of off the pitch.
Yeah, he was big on that.
Togetherness.
He was big on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back. There was Craig's put up a question there. He says, "What about so going back to like the lockdown and restarting the season? If that's what they are going to say, this is what we're doing. We're restarting. Well, the loosening of the lockdown precautions are completely different in Wales to what they are in England. Now, obviously, Cardiff and Swansea in the Championship are both based in Wales. So how is that going to affect, whether they can train? Can Cardiff and Swansea train yet?
Not for 3 weeks.
So if the rest of the Championship starts training in, say, 2 weeks or a week, next week or whatever, but Cardiff and Swansea can't train for another 3 or 4 weeks after the rest of the league, that's, it's not really
the thing
fair,
is, though, the league haven't even given us a date of when we're going to play. So I think why we're doing all this training, it's like we've been training every day. I get that. Because we could go back next week, but they still haven't given us a day. So what happens if we keep training, and then they just cancel it? So it's like they have to give us something to.
That's the thing as well, Stewie, for me though. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You'll be all over this, but players, you know what I mean? Fans think that players should play all the way through the season and go straight into the season next season. It's not right. It's not ethically right. Players need a mental break, and fans will argue, and fans will say, well, they had a break. Now they're on a break now. They're not on a break now at all. They're training and they're ready to play and go training whenever they're told. So they're just hanging around waiting. I mean, a proper break where you can go and let your hair down. You can go and have a drink with the lads. You can go away with your missus. You can take your kids away for a family holiday. You can go out for nice food. You know what I mean? That's a mental break, and you've got to give yourself that. You know what I mean? But for people to say, you know what I mean, that they can, you know what I mean? Oh, they've had a break. They've got to go through this season and then go straight through. It's not ethically right. You know what I mean? There's no other industry where, you know what I mean, that would happen. You know what I mean? Because you're getting burnout. You know what I mean? And we're on about the top players. You know, like it's like you when you went to the World Cup. You know what I mean? The season before the World Cup, you'll have had a break, but then you'll have gone 2 seasons without a break in football or a smaller break, and I bet the following season after the World Cup, you'll have felt it a little bit because it catches up on
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? It does because of the travelling and you play more games because you're the best player in the side. And unfortunately, you know what I mean? It just comes to a head sometimes. And I think people aren't really being fair with that. You know what I mean? But hey ho.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, isn't it? So, and I know you wanted to talk about Simon Jordan, who's your crush at the moment. So, come on.
Yeah, I love him. I can't get enough of him. Every time he's on Sky, every time he's on Talk Sport, I can just sit myself listening to him all day. My mouth's open. I've just got a man crush on him, and you know what? His tune of the week is about money and the Premier League money being filtered down to the Championship, EFL 1, EFL 2, and do you know what? He's absolutely bang on, and I tweeted him this morning and just said, "Listen, any chance you getting back into football, just to run all this mess and get us back to where we are, because he's just got a sensible head on this. He's got no affiliation with everybody. You know what I mean? If he was chairman of Crystal Palace, I'd go, do you know what? There's something not right about his methodology. But there is, you know what I mean? He cares about football and he wants football to come back when it's right, but he wants it fair for everybody. If we're not careful, Colchester United, Stevenage, Cambridge United, they could all go bust because of this. You know what I mean? And we don't want that. You know what I mean? Hartlepool United, and you know, Stu, you'll know. You know what I mean? We've had football clubs, local football clubs. Hartlepool struggled for money. Darlington went out of existence. Halifax Town, who I played for, went bust. It can't happen to any more. Bury have had it last year. We need football clubs to be in existence. You know what I mean? With 92 football clubs, you know what I mean? Imagine we had 76 next year. What's the point? You know what I mean? We need all 92 fit, healthy, playing to make 4 leagues, League Cup, FA Cup, make football as it is. Where do all these football supporters go when the teams aren't in existence anymore? It's just not fair. Not fair at all.
We played Bury the week before it shut, Blackburn in pre-season, and you know, our old mate Paul Wilkinson was manager.
How was he?
And I was chatting to him, and he said, "Stuart, we've literally just got this game on. We just look at you get the lights on." And I was like, "What?" He said, "We could go out of business next week." And I couldn't believe it because we beautiful little atmosphere, lovely little ground. I remember playing Man United reserves there years and years ago. Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, what a shame. Like, a lovely little club like this, all the supporters are there in the numbers, and you're just thinking, their club's gone within a week. Just gone.
The thing is, mate, they got no help, did they? You know, like that. Because they weren't a fashionable club, because them and Bolton were going at the same time, and Bolton had the ground, the hotel, the training ground. So it was more of an investment. You know what I mean? And for me, the league didn't give them an opportunity. The league didn't back them and give them a. I don't know. You know, I mean, I'm not saying give them a free ride, but you know what I mean? They could have just played the youth team the rest of the season and not at any costs. And it's just such a shame because, you know what I mean? What comes with that is they're demoted down to whatever level. I think that 10 leagues or whatever have gone down now, and it's such a shame because, like you say, Gig Lane, I played there quite a few times. I made my England under 16 debut there, and it was just such a. And I've had good memories from there ever since because. Reserve games were there for United, like you say there. I played for Middlesbrough there against Bury, and it's just a really, really nice place to play football.
Shame.
So Jamie's asking there, Stuart, were you at Liverpool when Suarez bit Ivanovic? And if he was, what was it like being around that?
I think I passed him the ball before he did it.
Was it a bad pass though, and that's why he bit him?
Frustration.
To be fair, they were niggling all game, and Suarez plays on the edge. You know what he's like. And at the time, when he's trying to roll it through his legs and he's fell into him, I thought he just fell on him and he's probably nudged him or something. And Ivanovic is just kicking off. And I remember that obviously we had a corner, and he's saying that he's bit me, and I'm thinking, oh, he has as well. There's no doubt about it, he definitely has. And then, but that he was just like a nice lad off the field, honestly, dead quiet, dead family lad, and then you put him on a football pitch, training or game, and he just switch. Just like he'd do anything to win, he's just killing people, just booting them, and every day in training, him and Daniel Agger used to fight like hell. And like they were good mates, but he just couldn't accept that. Like if his nutmeg didn't come off, he'd go mad. And anyway, after that game, we came in and there's rumours going around, and he just said, "Oh yeah, I bit him." Some
people, though, Stewie, they become a different animal, don't they, when they walk over that white line? You know what I mean? Because some people go quiet. Some people, you know what I mean, don't like the old atmosphere. Some revel in it, and some just go over the top where they just can't. You just can't bring them down and can't calm them down because, you know, I mean, you know yourself. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. No, I don't think you've ever lost your temper. Well, I've never since I've known you, but I've lost my temper a couple of times, and I've paid for it a couple of times, especially on a football pitch where, you know, I mean, I don't think I've ever bet anybody or been close to bite anybody, but you know what I mean? When you get that red mist, it's so hard to rein it in, and you know what I mean? If that's a referee, if that's another player or a linesman or a supporter or, you know what I mean, whatever that may be, it's such, you know what I mean? It seems like the right thing to do at the time, but it's a regrets because, you know what I mean? What comes of that?
That first season with him, he was doing it in training, falling out of people and arguing, and you could just see he probably didn't mean it. He just probably wanted to win, and he was telling us how he was brought up in Uruguay and he had to scrap for everything, and you know what I mean. You can imagine, can't you? And but he was like a lovely lad off the field. He would just taught you, kids and his missus. He never did anything. He never left them. He was always with them. And then, like you say, once you put him on the pitch, he was like, you just knew. You're thinking, oh no, like, see if he wasn't doing well in the game, you're thinking he's going to get a red or he just played on the edge
all the time, like.
Yeah, and he's even like that as a player. I mean, some games he would lose the ball a lot of times, and the next minute he'd hit a volley from 30 in the top corner. That's how he was.
But it's not the first time he did, though, did he? Because he did it in the World Cup as well, you know what I mean, apparently. You know what I mean? I don't think it was as bad as the Ivanovic one, but, you know what I mean?
He did it at Ajax, didn't he?
It's pushing boundaries,
isn't it? He's done it about four times in total.
He's pushing boundaries. He like Stewie, he said that he lives on the edge, you know what I mean? He's pushing boundaries, but he oversteps that line, you know what I mean, too many times. And, you know what I mean? Like, for me, if you say Luis Suarez to someone, what's he going to be remembered for? He's going to be remembered for that. And unfortunately, you know what I mean, the all the other stuff he does and the quality what he's got and the amount of goals and the quality of goals he's scored, he should be remembered for that instead of biting somebody. And that's a problem I've got. You know what I mean, with reputations and things that that if you know what I mean, one word what comes to your mind, Luis Suarez, is biting, and that's just instead of goals or you know what I mean. It's
I even played in the game the Evra one as well. All that was.
Oh, did you?
Managed. Yeah, and we got interviewed and said, did we hear anything? Because we were all in the box at the corner. And
did you lie?
No, I didn't hear anything. I knew obviously we were arguing. But that's what I mean. He plays on the edge. I thought he's probably kicked him or booted him or something. And he's not having it. And there was stuff going on. But obviously he said he didn't do it. And there was stuff like obviously the racism thing and all that. But he said he had like black grandparents and stuff like that. So he's not racist. And they can say this in South America. There was a lot of things going on. And obviously, you know, once that was over, I thought, well, obviously he's going to have to keep quiet now. And then 6 months later, he bit someone. He's like, to be fair to him, at Barcelona, I don't think he's been sent off. Or I don't think he's done anything. Because he must know he's on his last chance. If you go to Barcelona and do that, you're out of the club. It's simple as that, you're out.
Yeah, that everything though. That was, you know, I think that was obviously the most famous one, racism on the football pitch. I know it happened this year, didn't it, with the Leeds United goalkeeper? You know what I mean? But my question with that is that how'd you prove it? Unless someone's directly heard it, how'd you prove?
Well, that's
they
what happened with
got
John
lip
Terry,
read it,
wasn't it? They couldn't prove it with John Terry and Anton Ferdinand, wasn't it? Like,
but we even did it when we played at we played Old Trafford, didn't we? At the second game away, and remember when we didn't shake his hand. And obviously you could see the build up before the game's massive anyway, and then we're going in the tunnel.
It was really touchy, wasn't it?
Before he goes out, he's saying like, "Louis, you're going to shake his hand." Yeah, no problem. I'll shake his hand, no problem. So as we go in the tunnel, they're staring at each other and they're giving it all the eye, and then he just turns around and goes, "Nah, I'm not shaking his hand." Did not care. Like that was meant to. And then they go up the line. We didn't know this at the back, but then he refused to shake his hand, and they'd actually got Everett to come round to shake his hand. And he's like, so imagine that the atmosphere was horrible that day. We lost 2-1 in the tunnel. There was fighting and all sorts. It was crazy.
Because obviously at the end of the game, at the end of the game, and you know, like, to be fair to Evra, I think from his point of view, he was willing to shake his hand. And they, like you say, they kind of brought him around to do this kind of photo opportunity of them shaking hands before the game to take the sting out of the atmosphere. And then he didn't shake his hand, and that was it. It was all really testy. So at the end of the game then, you obviously had Evra was celebrating right in front of him.
Yeah.
What was that like to be in the changing room then, you know, after the game, where obviously you've lost the game, but also...
Well, do you remember the last kick before half-time when he blasted the ball at the United bench? I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean. He plays on the edge, and then we go down the tunnel, obviously, and Andy will tell you United's tunnel is long, and then it goes into the tiniest. And
like just a door, just a door, isn't it? Just a door to go in.
it was just a full-on scrap of 30 players trying to get in the way and out, and the next minute they had players coming down from their players. Like for instance, Nemanja Vidic and them were there, and they were suspended. I think, or Rio was in the tunnel. So you're thinking, is this being planned? It was carnage. So obviously I was at the back because I was one of the little ones. But,
I'll have been behind you.
It was crazy. But like I said, he was an unbelievable player, ridiculous player. But he lived on the edge, and I'm glad to be fair to him. He's kept his head down because, like I say, if you mention him, people remember the bite or the racism, and they should remember him for how good he was as a player.
But sometimes also, Stu, do you know, and we'll go back. I refer to the question there when someone asked about the best player, or the best. It was the best player you played against, but the best player you played with. Unfortunately, that might have an impact on not saying him. Do you know what I mean? Not saying it would, but it shouldn't be the first thing that you remember, or the first thing as a football fan that you know what I mean. The same thing as Cantona. You know what I mean? Eric Cantona, for me, one of the best players whatever graced the Premier League.
Yeah.
Remember Eric Cantona? Yeah, he kicked the fan. No, he didn't. Well, he did, but he's won the Premier League. He won the league with Leeds. He's won the Premier League with Man United. He's scored all these goals. He was one of the best players the Premier League's ever seen. Forget about what he did wrong. Look at the things he's done right and accept that he was out of order. But you know, I'm not condoning what he done. But sometimes you've got to look at how good these players are, because that was it's probably the similar kind of characteristics those two. You know what I mean? That they're both. When they lose it, and there's no bringing them back until it's far too late. You know what I mean? But that's sometimes the difference between being a genius and being a lunatic. You know what I mean? Because the Gaza, it's the same with Gaza. They have the same similarities and familiarities, unfortunately.
Craig asks, when you are looking at new clubs for a potential move, how do you choose the new club? Is it like on the club itself, the fans, the facilities, location, or look at the team, position in the league, or do you look to join a club for the manager?
Go on, Stu.
I think there's different ones. I mean, I'll take for instance when I left Aston Villa to Liverpool. Obviously, I'm going because of the club, the size of it, the tradition of Liverpool, like the top four club there. They are a bigger club than Liverpool. I think they had a better team, etc., etc. So it didn't matter where Liverpool was on the map. You were going to Liverpool. I think coming towards, like, if I see a decision now is Blackburn. I had a decision: could I go abroad for a year? Could I, Blackburn? But I had to cover stuff like, if I'm only going for a year, like what I'm going to do with my kids, my wife, I'm uprooting everything. So I think it depends on what you are. I was living on my own at Aston Villa, so it was an easy decision for me to make. Now I think you've got to put your kids, your family, and I know that probably thinking, well, why wouldn't he go there and go there? But your kids and your family got to be happy, and then you're a happy player. So
you've got school as well. Yeah. You've got loads of factors, haven't you? And also, I'd probably say as well that it also depends what kind of relationship you got with the previous club as well. So you know what I mean. If you leave Aston Villa and go and sign for Birmingham, you know what I mean, then you've ruined all the hard work you've just done at Villa. You know what I mean, because they hate you, or you go to West Brom. I think sometimes you've got to bring in other factors and. You know what I mean? I'm similar to you, so I leave Middlesbrough. You know what I mean? You leave Middlesbrough as a single lad, and I move over to Cardiff because I wanted a fresh start. I wanted to go live in the city. You know what I mean? And I had an opportunity to go to Crystal Palace that fell through, and Cardiff suited me. Cardiff suited me. Cardiff suited Cardiff as well. I just think it was a good move for everybody, and I think. And I think sometimes, a fresh start, it should revitalise you as a person, and it opens your eyes about living in different places. Because, Stewie will tell you, Stewie loves Middlesbrough. You know what I mean? From being brought up in the area, same as me. You know what I mean? Being brought up in the same areas and knockabout in the same places as young kids. But sometimes you just want to go and see what else is out in the big wide world and just try it for yourself. Because you're a young lad, you want to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, and it's how you learn from those and move on, because you know what I mean, life's too short sometimes, and especially a football career that you don't have a long, and you know what I mean, if you don't go somewhere for whatever reason, and then that move doesn't materialise, then sometimes you can have a regret about it. And I think having regrets sometimes can be a lot worse than making the wrong move, because if it's not the right move, another move can come very quickly, or a better move, and then all of a sudden it can turn out to be the best thing that you ever did.
True, yeah, I agree.
Indeed. Okay. Let's have a look. What else we got?
Well, I've got one
We've
side. Well,
plenty.
I'll follow on from that question there.
Go on, you go.
So Stewie, there you mentioned about going abroad there. So I was one of my questions was why Blackburn Rovers? So you know what I mean. So obviously you left Middlesbrough, but why Blackburn? You know what I mean? Because you mentioned there about an opportunity to go abroad and things and uprooting family. You know what I mean? Did they match your ambitions? Because I know you. I've known you since you're a young kid, and you're very ambitious. You know what I mean? On the pitch and off the pitch. And was that something what you wanted?
It came about quite quick, to be honest, because obviously because of the circumstances at Middlesbrough at the end where I wasn't allowed to play because of a contract, which was ridiculous. And, you know, and I was a little bit obviously angry that, you know, I'm playing for my own town club. They stopped me playing through a contract, which is nothing to do with me anyway. You know, the club gave me the contract shit on it. So, you know, I was disappointed. And I just thought, you know, I'm coming from 34, coming to 35. You know, if this is the way football's going out, I've had enough. Like, that's how I felt. I thought I've had enough of all the 3 or 4 years out at Middlesbrough. I was a lot of stake getting and things are going around, rumours, and I just thought I've had enough. And then I thought I'm going to go away and try something abroad. And there's a couple of things in America that I was weighing up and stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, quite like that. It might be good for the kids in a year or two and just a different life. And then, you know, I get a phone call from Morgan and says, you know, he lives in our village in Nunthorpe. And then he said to me, you know, come to my house, just let's have a chat. Simple as that. It was nothing serious. And bring your dad. And me and him, my dad went for 2 or 3 hours in his house. And he was, I mean, if you ever spoke to Moggy, you know, he's got
top fella, yeah. He's
tactics everywhere and he's diamond. And I just thought,
lives football. He's just a true football man, though, isn't he? You know what I mean? He always has. Yeah. You know what I mean? Since to go back to the Middlesbrough days when he played as a captain. I mean, but that's what he is. He's a leader on and off the pitch, and he's top fella like it.
And I just got, you know, when you get a feel, and I said to him, I said, well, I'll just go, you know, to the meeting to see what it's about. I mean, obviously, just out of courtesy and obviously because he's a legend and who he is. And I got talking and I came out and I remember saying, Dan, you know, I quite like to play for him, I think. He said to me, you know, you can play all these positions and left back sometimes or even left wing. And he had all these, you know, ideas and how he wanted to build the club, and they were in for the playoffs. And I thought, you know, they've got quite a good team here and they've got good talent. And I just thought, I'm going to try it. And I said to him, I remember him saying, listen, you know, it'll be a year's contract with your age. I said, yeah, I'm happy with that. And obviously we can speak about, you know, like, I didn't want clauses in there, except after what happened at Middlesbrough. I said, just judge me on how you think I am as a person, as a player. If I've done the job, if not, then I'll leave after the year. And I just thought, it seems right. I can travel. There was a few lads I knew. I think everything just fitted. And I just thought, I'll probably enjoy playing for him. And he said to me, just come and enjoy your football. You've probably been a bit frustrated the last 6 months. And, you know, you'd be good with it. I want you to help the young players here and help me. And, you know, he was even helping me on stuff like coaching and stuff like that. You know, if you want to go to coaching, I can help you. And
does it help, though, Stewie, knowing players there? Because obviously you knew Richie Smallwood from Middlesbrough, from the area, and obviously Danny Graham as well. So does that help, knowing players?
I think it does help when you to settle. I mean, it wouldn't have bothered me if I didn't know anyone. I mean, I've been to clubs where I've walked in not knowing anyone, and you soon click. You know, football's like you clicked on you. But I think that obviously was a big part. I think obviously Mogger, you know, he was quite relaxed about me. For instance, you know, match days, he says I can travel from the house to the stadiums and stuff like that. And a lot of things came into it. There wasn't, you know, people think a lot of travelling, but the way I do it is quite good. He's just a good man. He's a good fella. Try to keep the players happy. He's got, you know, his coaching, his ideas. I mean, it's just, and like I said, if you ever met him, he loves football. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to enjoy playing for him, and it's been, you know, everything and more. I couldn't have asked for more.
Well, we obviously do the championship, so regular side, don't we? You know what I mean? Not before this COVID started, and we've been so impressed with Blackburn this year. You know what I mean? We both ended up tipping. It's probably against you, by the way, because every time we tipped you to do well and get promoted, get in the playoffs, you've ended up on a bit of a downer and a couple of defeats. But you know what I mean? Like, look at the players. You know what I mean? Bradley Dack before his injury, Adam Armstrong scores goals for fun. Charlie Mulgrew can either ping balls, his set pieces second to none. You've got Richie in midfield, Lewis Holtby. You know what I mean? What a signing! You know what I mean? It's just to be able to attract those kind of players, Danny Graham, Sam Gallagher. You know what I mean, on loan. You know what I mean? These kind of players, and it's the majority of players, and including yourself, the majority of players I've just mentioned are attacking players. So the creative, the goal scorers. You know what I mean? That you were scoring a lot of goals, you're creating chances, you're a joy to watch. And I think as a neutral, and you know what I mean, obviously I focused and looked at you because of yourself and obviously Richie and stuff. But it's always nice as a football fan and as a neutral football fan to see teams attacking and scoring goals and playing the right way, especially the only way and the best way, you know yourself at Middlesbrough, the only way to do well in the Championship is by scoring goals and winning games, because it's about winning games. If you win 4-3, it doesn't matter. It's still 3 points. You know what I mean? It's not about keeping clean sheets all of the time. You know what I mean? Aitor did it different in Middlesbrough in the way that we got promoted on a clean sheet string. You know what I mean? It was just that was a different way of doing it. But normally in the Championship, it's about scoring goals and more and more and more. And you know what I mean? It must be a joy every day training with those kind of players.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, he said to me, you know, for instance, play left back, and I remember shutting him down a little bit at first, going, whoa, I don't know about that. I said, I did it at Liverpool, and obviously, but, you know, I did it for a run of games, but Liverpool was very attacking, and I didn't have to defend it much. He went, well, that's how I play. And he showed me how he wanted to play, and to be honest, I did a run of 10, 12 games at left back, and I absolutely loved it. I was setting goals up. I was probably getting more of the ball playing there than I was like in midfield, and he just said, I want you to attack, and he just his ideas. He's obviously really clever. He studied the game. He's obsessed with football. I mean, every conversation is a football or your family. You know what I mean? He's just a good fellow. Like I said, I've learned a lot from him. I'm 35 and still learning stuff that I thought, you know what, I didn't really know about that or this or and like you said, all the attacking players we've got. You know, you've got to work hard. He demands you work hard. He's not like just all out attack. You know, you've got to run back and work hard, but he does have a lot of really good patterns of play and how he wants us to play. And like you said, when you've got players like Dack and Armstrong who can, you know, come up with the goods, you know, doesn't have help.
Yeah, he'll be back in now. He's just gone in and out. The one thing I was going to ask you about, actually, Stu, was like I've been really singing the praises of Lewis Holtby this year for you guys. I just think he's been superb, and I think in the age years and in many ways, I think he's too good for the Championship. But how good is he on a daily basis, like in training and just overall around the club?
Well, first of all, he's a really good lad. I mean, I remember I signed pre-season that he was there, and then he went away and didn't come back for, like I say, a month or two. And I thought, you know, we've lost him. That could be a bit of a blow, that. And I'm not sure what was going on, maybe over his contract and that. And the next minute he comes back and he signs. And I'm thinking, you know, if we can get him up and running and fitness, because I know he had fitness problems. And to be fair, he's been a bit unlucky. You know, I wouldn't say it was fitness problems. He had an injury, his knee at Middlesbrough away, actually it was. So he's been very unlucky in that. But I think just before that, he went on a run of games of scoring, setting goals up, and looking to fill. I'm not saying he filled Dack's shoes, but he was getting us the goals that Dack was getting, the scruffy goals, the tap-ins in the 6-yard box, and he was looking a good player. And it's a shame that, like I said, he got a couple of injuries and it's halted his season really a little bit. And but I think if we can get him up and running, like you say, he has got Premier League quality. He's proven that. And I think we've got a really good player, and I think he was a free transfer as well, which makes it.
He was,
yeah.
I just think he was a bit of a sniff, because I remember the manager mentioned to me in pre-season, you know, I think I can get Lewis Holtby in the building, and I was thinking, you can get in, and you know, you're sending a statement really, because he's a good player, and I think, you know, he can push Dack as well and make him even better, because I think there's still more to come from him when he's back. And
how good is he? How good is he, Stewie?
Dack.
Bradley Dack, yeah.
Bradley's a good player. He's I mean, I was going to say Suarez. I'm not saying he's Suarez, but he plays like that. He's on the edge a little bit. He uses his body well. But he also, for a number 10, he gets a lot of goals because he gets in the box. Number 10s don't do that. They're more setting it up and assisting. But he wants to score goals. He wants to be, you know, the goal scorer. And it's a shame for him, his injury. But, you know, obviously it was a shocking injury for him.
I think it was a massive shame for me, Si, because I just raved about every week, every show, every single show. It was a proper man crush. I was gutted when I think I was so subdued and quiet on the show on the Monday when he injured himself, because I was a wounded animal.
Just cried for an hour.
Yeah, I did. I was gutted.
Cried.
But I think
just go on, Stu. Go on.
No, I'm just saying. I think with his injury, it made Adam Armstrong come to the fore, and like all of a sudden he went on a run of goals, and he really stepped out, into his shadow a little bit, and then he's just come out, and like I say, he looks like a goal threat every game. So sometimes an injury to a player, I mean, I don't wish injury on players, but someone else steps up when it's time for them to, you know, be the big man in the team, and he's certainly done that, to be fair.
Yeah.
So James there is asking, who's the nicest footballer you've played with, Stu? Or, sorry, the nicest footballer you've met?
Andy.
I'll go David Beckham, you know, and I'll tell you the story. So we played United away. We only got beat 1-0, which is quite a good thing for us, really. So Beckham scored last minute, and you know, I mean, we were all in the players' lounge, all in a bit of a bad mood. We've obviously lost the game, last minute goal, and he came over and just sat with us. You know what I mean? And for an opposition player to take the time out and go and sit with the opposition team was something quite rare. You know what I mean? And just sat and just chatted and just said like, well done, and he caused us some problems, and he took a genuine care about it. You know what I mean? How well we played and how well we were doing, and just a genuine nice fella. And it was just nice to get a bit of recognition, you know. So it was just So I'd probably say Bex, yeah.
Yeah, he is a nice fella. I tell you, man, is right. Do you ever remember Deriva?
Yep.
Nicest man in football, honestly. He used to just come in every day, nice and quiet. He used to tickle my ears and that, like I was a little son. I think, what is he doing? Like, his son, like, and tickle my ears and that. And I just thought he was like the nicest footballer in the world, like, lovely fella. Did quite well for the Boro, didn't he? Did a job for him.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, to be fair, I think footballers get a bad name, you know what I mean? And we've spoke about this, haven't we? You know what I mean? That there's that many genuinely nice people who give loads back, and obviously, and I think people just forget that they are just normal human beings who are dads or husbands or family men, and you know what I mean. I think with all this happening, I think hopefully with the good that footballers are doing and have done, that they'll hopefully get a little bit of a better reputation.
Yeah, true.
And on the opposite end of the scale, someone asked, I can't find it now, but someone asked, who's the biggest knobhead you've met in football? We always get that question. Every week.
Get it every week.
I think it was Johnny Wish. And not...
Get it every week.
Yeah. So
get it every week.
Is there someone who stands out
as a player
you've met over the years?
Is anyone? Or manager? Anyone? Dave Jones?
Anyone you've met in football?
Dave Jones.
To be honest,
Danny.
I'll be honest. I'm quite like Andy will tell you. I'm quite laid back. I get on with everyone.
Quite. Stewie's that laid back. He's like just horizontal on the floor.
But
I think the thing is, Stewie, when you know what I mean, and we spoke about this before. You know what I mean, that if you have a bad run-in with a player or a manager, you know what I mean, that you're obviously going to have bad feeling. There's bad feeling between two people, and sometimes that can linger on. It can, if you don't or aren't able to sort it out, then unfortunately it's going to linger on for years. Or you know what I mean, and that unfortunately that happened, and it happened for me. And you know what I mean, and you know what I mean. I'm over it. I'm over it now. I'm over it until every Monday until Si brings it up. But it is what it is, isn't it? It's just you just get you know what I mean. We're all adults, you know what I mean. What happens in the changing room stays in the changing room, and you know what I mean. And I think as football, you know what I mean, when you don't live on the edge, because I don't, and I know you don't, as long I think it just shows how much you care, because we all push in the same direction. We all want to win. We all want to achieve something, and that's individually, collectively, as a team, for a club, for an area. And for me, it's just about doing the best that you can. And sometimes if emotions overrun and get a little bit tetchy sometimes, then so be it. I
could think of a few knobs in the season. We got relegated with Middlesbrough, but that's for another
day. Yeah. Now there's loads, mate, to be fair. And unfortunately, though, sometimes though, when a bad situation happens, you know what I mean, and things, you know what I mean, because it's managers, it's coaches, it's players who are close to managers. You know what I mean? There's things that happen behind the scenes, but then fans don't understand and realise. So sometimes that there's always a reason why teams get relegated. It's not always what happens on the pitch. If there's not a good collective togetherness off the pitch, then on the pitch you're fighting a losing battle, and you're going to lose before the game starts. So sometimes you know what I mean. There's a bigger picture, and fans don't see that. Fans hear press conference saying, "Yeah, all the players are run through a brick wall for me." Well, that's not happening. You know what I mean? Because you must be home thinking, it's good rubbish. You know what I mean? He's not. Unfortunately, it happens, and you know what I mean. And you just want sometimes you want clubs to not to fail, because you don't want yourself to be tired of that brush. But sometimes you think, you know what I mean. I want one day for him to get his comeuppance and get shown up a little bit.
It generally does happen. No, I think like you said, I've only ever fell out with one manager in my whole career, or even one person really. But I just thought, you know, when I had the stuff at Middlesbrough, I just thought, you know, in the end, it'll come to the fore, because you can't keep lying forever. And all, like I say, I told you all the stories I had to put up with. Manager, we got him kicked out, we got him sacked, and I was like, what the hell? But in the end, like I say, the truth comes out in the end, and I just let it come out, because
I think it's all Stewie. You know more than anybody that no player is bigger than a football club, and managers know that. You know what I mean? So for a manager to come out at Middlesbrough, at Man United, or anywhere, you know what I mean? They would never let it happen. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Cream always rises. You know what I mean? And I think for a manager, you're not based on one player. You're not based on one season. You know what I mean? You're based on attractive football, how you conduct yourself on and off the pitch. You know what I mean? Your stats throughout a 3, 4, 5 year successful or unsuccessful tenure at a football club, and you know what I mean. He had some good. We had some amazing times under that manager, under Aitor, but unfortunately, you know what I mean, that he lost his job because the chairman thought he wasn't good enough to keep his job. And that's the basic. That's it, is it? And as a player, you know what I mean. We leave football clubs because the manager thinks we're not good enough. So True. You know what I mean, and you get on with it.
True.
Indeed. Chris wants to know: was going to Rangers ever an option for you?
Andy, or me?
You.
Oh, me.
And I think is it? I think Chris is on about a story which I read as well when Stevie obviously took the job. That I think there was quite a big interest of Stevie wanting you to go obviously north of the border to go and join him. Yeah,
well, how it comes about, we share the same agent, so obviously I want a free transfer. The agent, obviously, my agent spoke to Stevie. Obviously, he likes me to play. He was saying, and I could come up and have a chat, but I was already a long way gone with Blackburn, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to have played Rangers and Stevie, but I think the timing and obviously it was I didn't want to go back on my word with Mogger as well. And I felt really bad doing that after I'd given my word. And so it was, it wasn't like I turned down Rangers. Don't get me wrong. Like Rangers is a massive football club, and I'd love to play for him, but I think the moral of the story is I didn't want to go back on my word with Mogger. I'd already said if I hadn't ran to Rangers, listen, it's a massive club. Stevie's unbelievable, unbelievable fella. I'd love to have played for him, and but it just wanted me. I think it was more of a yes and a no. It wasn't a definite. There was conversations for our agent, but nothing was really 100%.
The thing is, he's done a great job as well, and you know what I mean. He's obviously his first managerial position, and I think he's took to it like a duck in water, and you know what I mean. I think he's obviously going to be tough up there, you know what I mean, because obviously the financial restraints on Rangers compared to Celtic is massive, and Scottish football being so dominated by Celtic that you know what I mean. He's pushed them quite a way away this year, and you know what I mean. So obviously, such a shame now that he's never going to find out obviously the outcome of this season, but I think moving forward, I think you know what I mean. There's talks of him coming in the Championship, or maybe he's getting in the Premier League, and I'd love to see it because obviously Frank's getting an opportunity to play to try being his manager at the top level. So I don't see Stevie any different. You know what I mean? I think one day we'll be the Liverpool manager, but obviously not for. I think for till he's ready, until obviously they've gone down a certain route, obviously with Klopp and stuff. But I think he needs to obviously learn English football as well as Scottish football. I think his roots have obviously has had an unbelievable start, but I think coming at the Championship or the Premier League at a smaller level, I think he'll give his experience a fantastic opportunity.
I don't think Stevie plans on, this was a conversation that, might change his mind now, but I don't think he planned on being a management a long, long time in the game. I think he wanted to go in, test himself, maybe end on a Liverpool job, and then that may be it. So it might be only in for 10, 15 years. And, obviously it doesn't go to plan, it might be longer, but I think that was the gist of the conversations that, we had before. And, but like I said, football, it gets old, he done it, and he might get the buzz and keep going and going.
So what about you then, Stewie? So what about you? Are you then thinking about managing yourself or being a coach yourself then? Like some of your ex-teammates have who played at the top level?
Well, I'm doing my badges. I think once I got over 30, I was looking at doing my coaching, and so I'm doing them. I'll hopefully get them finished before. Well, I don't know if I'm going to retire this year. I don't know what I'm doing. So hopefully get them done before I'm retired. Quite like the management. It does appeal to me. I mean, it depends what come up and what opportunities. I think I'd look at it, but I'm not 100% saying I want to be a manager. I mean, but I think a lot of players I played with said they didn't really plan on management and just fell into it. And I think I'd definitely start with coaching. Then, like I say, if an opportunity come up, then I'd certainly look at it.
Good.
Just going back to Gerrard, I wouldn't be surprised to see Gerrard do similar to what Mark Hughes did, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Gerrard have the England job before he has the Liverpool job. I've just got a feeling that I think he might end up being the England manager first, especially if Klopp, does build something now for the next sort of 5 or 10 years, that maybe Gerrard will go to England first. I know it's slightly different with England because they got a bigger player pool to pick from than Wales, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Just my opinion. What do you reckon
Frank
about
will
that?
try and have a go at that as well, won't he?
Or Stewart.
Well, the thing is, I think
there's a few of them, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I think obviously Frank's had an unbelievable upbringing within football, hasn't he? You know what I mean? That he's obviously his dad was Harry Redknapp's number 2. Obviously, the family are obviously all linked with Jamie Redknapp, Harry Redknapp. You know what I mean? So he's been around in football for all his life, for full lifetime. You know what I mean? He's had an unbelievable playing career. He's gone into Derby. He's obviously took that really well. His experience has gone up. He's then having a really successful time at Chelsea, and it can only benefit him and benefit English football as well, Lord, because if he is going to be future England manager, then he's gaining some valuable experience as a young manager as well. You know what I mean? It's the ups and downs, and especially with what's going on now, that you know what I mean. This is also puts a different pressure on football managers because you know what I mean. He's having time to think about when they come back. That his chairman will be telling him every day, I want you to finish in the top 5 or top 4. I want Champions League. You know what I mean? Where the season be finished now. So he was probably thinking he was going on holiday now and relaxing and having a chill out and buying players, signing players on contracts, etc. So now this ramps the pressure up on him as a young manager tenfold, really.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So I'm just going to go through some of these questions, Stu, because we've got a few backed up.
Good question.
Lee says, if you could change anything in your career, what would you change?
Good question.
I mean, like Andy said earlier on, I tend to not try and have regrets. I mean, there's different things you thought, well, I wish I'd have done that now, but that was only after the event, if you get me. But I think after the last 3 seasons I had at Middlesbrough, I think I maybe should have left a little bit early because I was hitting my head against a brick wall, really fighting a losing battle sort of thing. That's how it felt anyway. Obviously, after the Karanka thing went on, after that it was like more pressure. I had to play well more because there was always jumping on that tag of what do you got Karanka, and it just it done me head in, to be honest. It really did me head in. And
do you
lost a little bit of.
Do you regret going back, Stewie?
Not because.
People obviously say, don't they, that never go back, never return. You know what I mean? Never return to a club, or you know what I mean. Especially a club. I'm talking about a club now where you came through the youth ranks here. Probably the most successful time at a football club with a Carling Cup, UEFA Cup. You know what I mean? So you've obviously took that football club to a new dimension to where I was at. You know what I mean? So you took them to another dimension. You're most successful era the football club's ever had. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean. Then obviously to come back, obviously the pressure would have been tenfold with the career you've had from leaving to coming back.
I think I don't regret coming back to Middlesbrough. Not one bit. Not that. I just regret the surroundings of it. Obviously the management situation. Not obviously. That's obviously the Gary Monk thing and everything that went around it. Like you said, I probably didn't realise the pressure I was probably putting myself under doing it. But football is pressure. I mean, I wasn't scared of the pressure because that's why I signed. I was desperate to get the club back in the Premier League because I'd left on a relegation. So that didn't bother me. I was quite excited, but it just slowly dug away at me. And I just think I maybe should have left after maybe a season when we got promoted. Maybe just left because it was never working. And I think once you fall out with a manager like that.
Yeah, there's no coming back, is there?
There's no coming back because he holds grudges and I, in my back of my mind, thinking it'll be forgot about, and then it just never was. And so it's definitely not a regret coming back. Maybe it's like I said, the stuff around it, yes, and the way that I was handled out of leaving the club as well, that wasn't handled very well, and and I've seen players, over the 4 years doing things that I just couldn't believe, to be honest. And I just, but I learned a lot from that. And like I said, if I went into coaching or management, I'd learned a lot of things that went on that I could use and what definitely not use. And so I think I don't really have any regrets. Like you said, only the thing around the club. But coming back to Middlesbrough, no, definitely not. That's why I signed. I left a Premier League club to come here, which, it probably sounds ridiculous because I had it really good at West Ham. I would come off the back of an England call-up that 6 months before, so...
Unheard of. It's unheard of, man. It doesn't happen. There's not many players who would take that risk to leave a Premier League club to go into the Championship. You know what I mean? There's probably
Yeah.
no other players, I think, you know what I mean, especially to make the impact as well, because the pressure, you know what I mean, to get promoted that season was absolutely massive on you, on everybody else, on the chairman, on the manager, on Ben, on other players. You know what I mean? It was absolutely ridiculous that year.
I know people said, "Oh, you come back. Obviously, you got a 5-year contract. You got your pockets lined up," and I was like, "Well, not really, no, because I took a pay cut to come back to get promoted, so I didn't need to do that. I was at West Ham with 2.5 years left on a good contract, so." All that, this is what I mean, the rumours and things you have to put up with. I was thinking it's absolute nonsense, and so I put my, career at risk on a very good contract at West Ham at risk to get promoted, and then like I said, we were up one season and got relegated. So I've done a lot of things to make the deal happen to come back, and I don't know if it was appreciated, like you say, but obviously with all the things that went on around it, I was disappointed. But like you say, you live and you learn, and I don't regret coming back to Middlesbrough now.
But it's reputation as well, though, Stewie, innit? You know what I mean? Because, you know what I mean, you put your reputation on the line absolutely massively. Because if that had a crashed and burnt and you didn't get promoted and you finished mid-table and the fallouts would have been bigger and horrifically, you know what I mean, major because you know what I mean, what happened during a successful season. Imagine if the things weren't successful, you know what I mean? So, you know, you're putting a massive risk on your credentials, on your reputation, your football career, and everything you've achieved. And you know what I mean? For me, the credit's got to be where credit's due, because you know what I mean. I know how much hard work that whole season was brought by yourself, by everybody else, and you know what I mean. And I think sometimes you deserve a little bit more respect by managers, by fans, especially. About all the hard work, because it's not easy. You know what I mean? It's a 50-game season. You know what I mean? It's just. It's the most surreal thing. We said at the start that when you win, absolutely fantastic. When you lose, it's the worst thing ever. You know what I mean? You lose, you got a 5-hour journey in the bus coming home, so you're thinking about it all the way back. You're on social media, reading things about yourself, about your family. You know what I mean? You're getting slagged off on the radio and the papers. You know what I mean? It's constant. Everything's constant, and sometimes, you know what I mean, people just forget there's a bigger picture than just you playing a 90-minute game and then going home and thinking, oh well, I've just been paid this much. But it's so further from the truth. It's scary. Scary.
If it was like that, I could have just, like you said, stayed at West Ham. I was enjoying playing well. Yeah. Good, decent. Like I took risks to do it, and like I don't regret doing that. Like I did it for a reason. I want to get promoted with Middlesbrough, and then and I didn't even think I'd go back and finish my career there. People think, you just come back to finish your career. I've moved again to Blackburn. I didn't need to. I could have just retired there and then. But like you said, there's only you who knows the truth, and the lads who you know, or players you play with. But like I said, that social media thing, I just block all that. I don't listen to all that. But when you live in, like you said, in Middlesbrough, I'm banging the centre of Middlesbrough. How can I get away from rumours and what goes on? And I was just disappointed really that maybe the club didn't come out and squash it and just just let it drag on, which was disappointing.
But I think though, as a club, you know what I mean, we both love the club, you know what I mean. But I think now we spoke about Si, haven't we, on the Championship show, that you know what I mean. For me, I'd love the club to come out at the start of the season, well before this started, and just said, listen, we're backing the manager. You know what I mean. We a successful season this season would be if we stayed up. And just draw a line under it, because I don't know what some supporters are still expecting them to get in the playoffs. Some supporters are expecting them to finish mid-table. You know what I mean? Nobody knows where the expectations are. You know what I mean? For me, as long as we don't go down this season, I'm a happy man. You know what I mean? I'm the most depressed man in the world when I'm talking about it, because everyone wants to listen to what I think about Middlesbrough losing. But every time they win, nobody picks the game for me to talk about, because nobody wants to know about Middlesbrough winning. Everyone wants to know about the negatives and you know, I mean, rightly so sometimes, you know what I mean. But everyone wants to know when things are going wrong and hear your point of view and have me little rant about when the club's not going in the right direction. And you know what I mean. My love for the club, same as your love for the club, you know what I mean, is it'll never leave, because we're from the area. You know, I'm a football fan. You know what I mean. I lived a dream. You lived the dream of playing for my hometown club, and regardless where I'm living in the world, you know what I mean. My love for my football club will still always be there. Yeah,
true. Yeah.
And that was something I was going to talk about. You know what I mean? Because obviously I was I was there, Stewie, for that. Obviously I was living in Cardiff when Middlesbrough went to Cardiff and won in the Carling Cup. So what was it like to be part of that League Cup winning side? Because obviously we tried and failed under the gaffer, Brian Robson. We've been Leicester Cup final, Chelsea Cup final again. Just crashed and burned, got relegated. You know what I mean? It was the best time in the world. But then obviously there was a massive lows which went with it. But you obviously achieved something that the club had never achieved before. What was that like?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, to be fair, I'd come back off loan from Sunderland midway through the season, and then there was injuries and stuff, and we played Tottenham away in the quarter-final. I'd come on, and in the semi-final I was on the bench, and then I was thinking, I hope I'm just, involved. I was still only young, and what I look back on that day is I just, the lads who played nearly every round, Colin Cooper, I think, John Green, and I played a lot of the games, all got left out, and now I was on the bench, and probably at the time I just took it for granted. But looking back, I was thinking, I was very lucky to be involved, and maybe because of timing and me coming back and into the team when they were injured maybe helped. So it must have been devastating for them. But in terms of, like you say, I was itching to get on, didn't get on. But the day, like you say, I remember warming up and seeing all my mates, and it was just red everywhere, see red, and the game was unbelievable. I mean, we were on top straight away, and then all of a sudden we could have lost it. Swartz made some unbelievable saves. I know he made a mistake, but he kept us in it. And, but the thing about afterwards,
we focused on the game side, didn't we? We've looked at the game in detail, and the start was unbelievable from Joseph's goal and to Bolo's penalty, which I'm not sure if that should have stood. By the way, if there was VAR, I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't. But for a goalie of his stature to make that mistake, but then pull off 3 unbelievable saves at the end, it just speaks so highly of the man, because we both played with him and both know how good he was. But yourself, when you make a mistake like that, it can affect your whole game. But it didn't bother him, did it?
No. To be honest, I think it made him come back. But he was mentally strong, wasn't he? So he was quiet, unassuming, but. Yeah, he was a good goalkeeper. Like I say, you don't play it that long at the top without being, mentally strong. And he, like I say, it made him have a better game. But I just remember after the game, it was like we were up in the lounge. Dave Parney was there, and obviously he was over the moon. Was getting involved, the youth team lads. But then it was like, right, we've got a game Wednesday night, Birmingham away.
Yeah,
and I think Steve McLaren's come out in afterwards now and said that I knew I was going to lose that game. You can't go from winning the Carling Cup to go to a league game in Birmingham to try.
No,
it just deflated us a little bit, and we lost. I think it was 2 or 3-0. We weren't very good, but we didn't have really time to celebrate. And then obviously we'd done the parade and all that. That was unbelievable. But the day after,
their memories, what nobody can ever take away from you. Your medal, your souvenirs from the day. The things what no one could ever take away from you. But obviously, I know we're going to talk about the semi-final of the Europa Cup final. But what about the final itself? Obviously, the result wasn't great. But what about the whole atmosphere of travelling and game? Obviously, against a world class side at the time, because they were at the time world class.
Oh, they were unbelievable. Like you say, all them players went on to have, or some did have good careers up until then as well. So I think our attitude up to that was, we got the final, let's just have a goal sort of thing. Not like we were expecting to get beat. I mean, I thought we could beat anyone. That was because we kept coming back, didn't we, and making comebacks. And in the game, obviously, they were very good technically. They kept the ball. But I think if you're looking at like big moments in games, I remember 1-0 up. Yes, they were controlling it with the game, but we had a big chance with the Dukes. We had a penalty shout. And these little things can swing games. This is like 60 or 70 minutes. If the Duke scores, do they crumble? Do they panic under pressure? And I think because of our past exploits, I think we thought, let's just go for it. And we took loads of strikers on. And then the 4-0 game was never a 4-0 game. I mean,
No.
It was the 1-0 at tops or something. Because we threw loads of forwards on and kept going for it, thinking we could come back again. They picked us off and 4-0. But I think overall, like you say, that we certainly held our own against some big teams in Europe. Some of them games were unbelievable. And
obviously that was obviously your first experience in European football as well, wasn't it? And to do that with Middlesbrough and to go all the way to the final, and just to have the experience must have set you in good stead, obviously, to go then to Liverpool and play in Europe, so to speak. For a club with obviously different expectations.
Yeah, and I think European football, when you play, is totally different than like you said, like 3 days later we played in Premier League at Tottenham away, say, and it was like hustling, bustling, tackling. Like, I remember we played Lazio and Roma away in Rome, and it was all like slow and keep the ball. And I was like, where's the Premier League? We need to like tackle them and get near them, and then they'd use the body and get fouls, and it was totally different like way of playing. But I think it held us, as we got along, we got better and better, and obviously with us having like some Mendyettas and people like that in the team, they were used to that style of playing, and we got better and better. And like I said, I learned so much, because the Premier League to European football is totally different.
So I think that's your nephew, and is it Shay?
Yeah. So what tips? Not just for Shay as well, like for any young kids, Stewie. Because obviously I think football's evolved so much since I played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're still relevant now because you're still playing in it, and you see young lads coming through now. Have you got any advice for like young players coming through now? You know what I mean? What it takes to go that extra mile? Is it attitude? Is it skill? Is it desire? What would you say makes the young players stand out more than anybody else?
I think if I was trying to help a young player now, I think like when we come through, it was like, you know, I'm not like playing sorry, but we had to like, you know, we YTSs on YTS wages. Now they're on big, massive contract before they're even probably training with the first team. And I think that's where their desire and mentality has to come in. You know, thinking they've got to think I haven't made it until they're playing in the. I remember Brendan Rodgers used to always say at Liverpool, I see you lads walking around Liverpool tracksuits and your wash bags and your fancy clothes, thinking I play for Liverpool. He said, you don't play for Liverpool. Till you played in that first team at Anfield, you haven't played for Liverpool. And he's right, because kids can get carried away thinking, well, I'm on 5-10 grand a week driving a Range Rover. You know, I've made it. But they haven't played in the first team, so that could be gone within 2 years and they could be working a normal job. So I think their desire's got to come into where thinking, sod the money sort of thing. I want to be a footballer and make more. That's what, like, when about Ronaldo and people like that. Every year he just tries to get better and better, and he's got more money than probably any player in the world.
I think it can also ground you as well, though, Stu. You know what I mean? Because you know, I know hard things on it. You know what I mean? When my first wage at Middlesbrough was £37.50. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
You know, I made my debut and I got £37.50. You know what I mean? It's just it is what it is. You know what I mean? You enjoy doing what you do. You know what I mean? Money's irrelevant. Your money just comes. Money comes and money goes. You know what I mean? And it's just nice. It's just nice to. But I agree, desire is a big thing, and you know what I mean. When I tell all young kids at school, and I tell my nephews, and I tell anybody, and that's in any walk of life, by the way. You know what I mean. If you don't give the best at what you've got in that industry, you've got absolutely zero chance to succeed in anything.
Yeah.
Is that my dad, by the way? Is that my dad asking questions? Is he? Is this?
Is he?
I don't know. If this is my dad, then why isn't he asking me questions? If it is my dad, any chance? Well,
is it Stewie Campbell? Is it Stewie Campbell from played at the referee in that?
Yeah, I don't know. Whichever Stewie is, comment and just say who you are. If it's my dad, I'm hanging up.
But he wants to know. Did he give you a lift to play in front of the cop?
Oh yeah, unbelievable. I mean, the opposition players will tell you when they go there, like sort of like sucks you in, doesn't it? And you know, just before it, the anthem, you know, you never walk alone and all that, and especially the European night or the one, especially Man United, was a massive game, probably more so than Everton. I don't know why, but you know, Everton at Goodison was big, but not more so at Anfield. But the Man United games, that the atmosphere was unbelievable, and you couldn't even talk on the pitch to players. You couldn't hear anything. It was mad. But I mean, they're unbelievable fans, like you say. We always backed the players, and they were very educated fans who understand football. And like I say, it was you know, some of the atmospheres was unbelievable. Like.
Reese also asked, did you ever play at Ninian Park? And if so, what were your memories of it?
The only time I played at Ninian Park was the day before the Carling Cup final. We trained on the pitch.
I bet it was hostile just training on the pitch, mate. I tell you, it was brutal. It was brutal, like as an opposition player. You know what I mean? As a home player, it was probably I just give you that extra little boost. The fans was top draw. Like, you know what I mean? That was unbelievable place to play football.
Yeah, I remember.
Never get that atmosphere now. Like, do you know what it reminded? Well, obviously, I'm going back before you. It reminded me of Ayresome Park.
I was just going to say, yeah.
I came back. Obviously, I left Ayresome Park to go to Riverside. So it was like we obviously trained at Ayresome Park at the time. So it was like home from home. Just changed the blue seats for red, or red for blue. Yeah. That's all I did.
Good atmosphere, them grounds though.
Yeah, well, the best, mate. You never get them back. Unfortunately.
No, I think you won't even get them back with like safe standing and stuff. It just won't be the same, will it? Because they're not they're not as close in the way they're designed these days. Jake Laverick wants to know if the season continues, do you think Boro will stay up, Stu?
I do, yeah. I think it'll be very tough for them, but I think they'll stay up. I think it's easy to say. I think there's poorer teams than them. Like Andy said earlier on in the show, that it's going to be a difficult season. There was a lot of change, a lot of overhaul of players. It was always going to be difficult. Young players coming through who were inconsistent, and you know. But I think, you know, you asked me the question on the spot. I think it'd stay up, but it'd be tough.
I think though that I think they need.
Stay up, Ant?
I think they need the right to stay up as well, though. You know what I mean? I want them to stay up by doing the last 9 games and earning the right, because I know they're good enough to stay up. They're good enough to stay up. Also, I think that the teams below them lack more quality than Middlesbrough do. You know what I mean? I think there's obviously things happening at the football club, which it's going to be a different process, it's just a different way of looking, different mentality. You know what I mean? They've got a new manager in place, but he needs time. He needs to earn his right, and and he's done that over the Christmas period to give himself an opportunity to do it. And imagine being Jonathan Woodgate now, that he's in his first managerial job, that he's had COVID-19 to contend with, along with bad results and everything. So you know what I mean? It was my dad. That's scandalous. That's disgraceful. It's the first show he's ever watched, and he's not asked me a question. You know what I mean? Bang on,
Don't say that.
Matthew Morgan as well. Yeah, I know. Matthew Morgan he made a couple of comments about Boro's just their PR not being the greatest, and he said he's got a lot of respect for Stewart, even though they're 4K and things like that. And also Leslie Coates says credit to Stewart Downing for dropping down the league to come back to Boro. Deserves a lot of credit for that, which is factual as well. I asked Danny Gabardon this last week. Bellamy was at West Ham when you were there, wasn't he?
Liverpool.
Sorry.
Yeah, Liverpool. Yeah.
I asked
Danny
Gabardon last week, Stewie, what was his golf like?
Bella's. Bella's was a character, honestly. I got on with him. He was all right. Bella's. He knew obviously Woody and that was good mates of him, and some of the stuff he come out was funny. He'd hammer people and
he's hilarious.
But Bella's he's soft, man. He loves football. I'll give him that. He knows his stuff, and I think he's one of them. He doesn't mean any harm. I think he just wants the best out of people. He demands, and
he's a winner. He's a proper winner.
Yeah, and sometimes he might rub people the wrong way, but at the end of the day, I think off the field he was sound. I got on with him, and you can have arguments and that. But I think if you shouted back at him or dressed him down, he'd just leave you alone. I think it was more of a test, but he's harmless, Bellas.
One of the questions to ask you, Stu, was just about Peter Whittingham. Obviously, we got quite a large contingent of Cardiff fans, which was, and he sort of obviously tragically passed recently. He had, I think you didn't cross paths at Blackburn, did you? But you came through the England youth side with him. What was he like to play with as a youngster?
Very good player, first and foremost. I think we started to get in. I got in Middlesbrough's first team, and he got in Villa's around about the same time. We were in England 16, 17s, etc. Done a few tournaments. I don't know if you ever come across Wits, where he's dead dry, dead witty with his humour, and very likable lad, like you say. He just got on with his job. He's dead on the tune, and just wonderful left foot. And you see some of his goals. He was scary. At Cardiff, he was a brilliant player, and. And at one point we were fighting for a place. Like you said, I think he played on the left a little bit. I did. He moved inside. He was quite flexible, and it was a shame. When I seen the rumours and that going around about him, it was devastating. And like I say, he left Blackburn, I think a year or two before me, and the lads were saying he's never changed. He's still the same. He was, dead weight.
Well, I thought he was still there, Stewie, because obviously I text you, didn't I? And I asked you if it was true, and you know what I mean. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. You know what I mean? When I remember, it's Alan Jones who helps run the show. You know what I mean? He's watching tonight, and you know what I mean. He rang me and told me about it, and I was like, I need to find out myself, because it was just such a fun-loving guy who loved his football. He just loved to laugh. He was like old school, but then when you give him a ball on the pitch, he was just a genius, and just a wonderful left foot. And some of the goals he scored, man, Jesus, you know what I mean? He just loved to play football, but then also loved to party and have a good laugh off the pitch. And that just shows me it's just the best way to look at football, and you know what I mean. And obviously, now obviously he's lost his life, but you know what I mean. He'll have no regrets the way he lived his life. That he loved his football. No. He had an unbelievable career, and you know what I mean. And he made some huge friends along the way with just the way that he was on and off the pitch.
Yeah, I think the last time I seen him, and like I said, talking about his humour, he never changed, was the Cardiff Cup final. Obviously, he played in Cardiff City Boro, and we were up. I think he was after me for the penalties, and like I say, we had a laugh about it. You know how nerve-wracking it was, etc., and all that. But I mean, that was probably the last time I spoke to him a few years ago. But I mean, what is he? He's same as me, 35.
Yeah, same age. Yeah,
a young family and all that. I mean, tragedy in it, but he was a lovely lad though.
Yeah. No, awful situation. We did a show on his side, didn't we? And it was just heartbreaking because he affected so many people in different ways. And you know what I mean. I played in Super Kev's testimonial, and he played there. Kevin McNaughton's testimonial. He played in that. I went to see Cardiff get promoted a couple of seasons ago. You know what I mean? It's just you remember these kind of things, and it's not the game. The game's irrelevant. You know what I mean? It's after when you sit talking to people and reminiscing about my career, his life, my life. You know what I mean? You start talking about family and kids and where you live and who you know, and then all of a sudden you realise that you're both just two normal people having a normal conversation, and you forget about football and forget the moment who you are, and then when something like this happens, you know what I mean? Because there's too many people, especially this year. We've had a couple of shows which we spoke about. You know what I mean? Of ex-Cardiff players who've lost their lives, and it's just too early. It's not fair. It's just, you know what I mean. It's just happening too often in a minute, and it's just you know what I mean. People say about living life to the full, and you know what? Yeah, you fucking bang on, because you know what I mean. You know, it's just you live your life for your kids because you want your kids to grow up, but it's just such a drastic thing what's happening in a minute.
Unbelievable.
Indeed. Yeah, so I couldn't say it better myself, mate. So just to finish off then, guys, we'd like to talk a little bit of retro football just to get a bit of a football fix. So what we did is Andy picked one game, and Andy picked this, not Stewart. Andy picked this, was the 2012 Carling Cup final. What was your memories of that, Stewart, the final and how it went? Obviously, you had man of the match and... I think first and foremost we didn't underestimate Cardiff. I know the game played out and it was very close because even Kenny said in his team, I remember he wasn't nervous. He was more like probably because of the pressure of Liverpool demand to win. We had to win, and Cardiff could go in with no, you know, they weren't there to win really. Whether it's Liverpool v Cardiff, but the game was very very hard. And like I say, Cardiff took the lead, and you could just feel every time when we took the lead as well in extra time, it was like you could feel them just, you know, just didn't give up, just kept going and just had a belief of, and you know, and we both teams played quite well on the day. It wasn't that we were really poor. It was just, you know, Cardiff give us a game, and you know, and sometimes, you know, teams raise themselves in the final, and obviously the bigger picture was, you know, we needed like I said, Suarez and them, and he had quite a quiet game, to be honest, in that game, and they'd done well keeping him quiet. And but going to the penalties, I'll be honest, I was very confident because I'd seen our lads take penalties, and Pepe Reina's one of the best at saving them, and then we step up the first two and miss, and I'm thinking, oh no, here we go. And we'd obviously done the list. Suarez actually didn't want to take one in that game. Maybe because he hadn't played that well, he just said he didn't want to take one, which I was very surprised. I think I was up fourth, and I think Pepe made a save on maybe in the third penalty to keep us in. Was it Rudy Gestede just before me?
Yeah, it was Rudy missed a penalty.
Yeah,
Rudy missed, and and I think it gives a little bit of momentum going in. And like I said, I was always confident with Pepe, but you know, when you're captain Gerrard, your best penalty taker misses. Charlie Adams got a great technique. He missed. I'm thinking, oh no, this is not our day, and it's set up for them to win it. But I always just remember Kenny's team talk before the game, like, don't underestimate these. They're a good team. I've watched them play. They've got good players, like he said. Whittingham can dictate a game with his left foot, and I think Kenny Miller was there at the time, a goal scorer. So it was, you know, we definitely, you know, we were wary of them, and I think that they showed on the day because he had chances at the end. I think Kenny Miller had a big chance to win it in normal time.
Just after we equalised.
Yeah, and So it was a tough game. I remember coming in after the game and after extra time and celebrating, thinking, we might have got away with one there. And it was a good game. And I was up against Andrew Taylor most of the game. It was a good battle. Having a bit of crack on the pitch and stuff, and it was good.
I think it's also, you just know it's going to be
what was the feeling like when...
Go on, Si.
I was just going to ask you about the feeling when Ben Turner equalised, because obviously it was so late in.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said, it had been a battle for the whole game.
Yeah.
You'd got in front, and then Ben Turner scores a scrappy goal right at the end. Is that deflating?
Yeah, I think obviously the time and then that could play momentum in extra time. But I think if you see Wembley's pitch, it's massive, and I think teams were tired, and it was whoever could nick one really get one. And we sent Cantona who gave Nick a goal and got one. It was a bit end to end. I mean, both we could say, well, we should have won it, and they could say, well, we could have won it, and but it was a real difficult game. And I think obviously you need luck in finals. Of course, you do a penalty shootout. But I remember speaking to Stevie Gerrard after the game, and he said obviously his cousin missed, and he said he played in all the games leading up to the final and stuff, and he got dropped on the day for Mark Hudson, the captain, and ended up coming on, didn't he? So when you think of the bigger picture, was he still disappointed that he didn't play, and did it play on his mind? And Stevie, I remember obviously we'd won and celebrating. I went up to Andrew Taylor before we ran off to celebrate and said, unlucky, well done. And he went up to his cousin. And when you think back, I think, did that play a part in his missed penalty? I don't know.
Just sometimes though you don't think of things like that, do you? You know what I mean?
Terrible abuse for that.
Well, you do. Well, things aside, it's a big game, isn't it? You know what I mean? We spoke about the playoff final. That you know what I mean? The pressure players are under in big games, in playoff finals, in cup finals. You know what I mean? Because you've pushed the team, regardless if you're not expected to win or you are expected to win. Once it gets to penalties, fans expect you to win. It's that cutthroat. But one team's going to have to lose. You know what I mean? It's just unfortunate, and it's the worst way to lose. You know what I mean? There's no better. There's no worse way to lose. But when you win, it's just the best feeling in the world to win a penalty shootout, because it's the relief, it's the joy, it's the hue ecstasy of winning the game.
Yeah, I always remember the penalties nervous. I remember Tom Eaton walking towards that goal, and you know what it is like. I mean, the strike of the goal's like, I'm thinking that goal's shrinking, I think. And Tom Eaton's jumping up and down and bouncing around. I'm thinking, oh God, I don't know why I had a feeling. I'm thinking this has got to be Cardiff's day, but Rudy missed. We've got a bit of luck, and you're always confident, like I say, with Pepe in goal because he's a fantastic keeper.
And Stu, the other thing we asked you to pick a game from your career or growing up, something you've watched, something just a football match that has affected you deeply. And so tell us which game you picked and talk about that a little bit.
I went for the 2006 Steaua Bucharest game, the comeback before we got the final.
What a game!
Crazy game of football. I mean,
but not just about that game though, Stewie. Obviously, you got beaten the first leg away 1-0.
Yeah, didn't play
great.
Did we?
No, it wasn't a great game. You know what I mean? It wasn't. You know what I mean? From a TV point of view, you watch the game on the TV. That it wasn't didn't look a very nice place to play football. Do you know what I mean? So first and foremost, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a semi-final, a ground or like a nice place to play. So you know what I mean? So to then come away quite unscathed, 1-0 defeat was quite a good result, really. You know what I mean? To go at the Riverside, but then the game at the Riverside started horrifically bad, and then. I don't know about you, but what were your thoughts? Obviously, when the first goal went in, and then did you think that was it? And then obviously the second goal. Then what did you think then?
I think because of the other comeback at 1-0, I thought, well, we're right. Just settle it. But the ground went silent, didn't it? I mean, it was rocking at the start, and it went silent. And then when you go 2-0 up, they went 2-0 up, the 3 on the night. I'm thinking because they went a bad outfit. There's some good players, and
they did.
Thinking, I've got to be realistic. I can't see how we're going to get 4 goals here. We couldn't even score 1 over there. We haven't even scored 1 yet. We haven't even had a chance. And big things happened. Southgate got injured early on. Big play for us. I'm thinking, this is disaster. Puts Macaroni on, and we changed system a bit. And I just thought in my head, if we can get a goal back, because we weren't great in the first half, I think we were a bit nervous. We get a goal back before half time, we've got a chance because we've got goal scorers. I mean, at Middlesbrough, we were renowned for a hard-working team, and we had lads who could get us 20 goals a year. Viduka, Hasselbank, Yakubu, all them could get us 20, and that's what we relied on. And obviously Massimo came up with the goods in Europe on Euro nights, but we got one back. And then, I don't know if you remember, they had a centre-back, Baldy lad, winning everything in the air. He was winning everything, every cross, he was heading it out. I'm thinking, I can't miss him out. He gets sent off. And then we start putting balls in the box and we're getting on the end of him. There's chance after chance. I think that was a big moment in the game that he got sent off. Verduk's got a header crossing it. And we basically went 5 strikers. We had 2 at the back. I was left wing back. I don't know if it was Stewart Downing, he was right wing back. We just went for it, really. It was a bit like obviously what we did with Seville, but they picked us off. But we just thought, Steve McLaren at half time said, listen, lads, we're out. Basically, just go for it. Let's just play. We'll go forward, which was unlike him because he was quite not a defensive coach, but we were solid 4-5.
He was reserved one, yeah.
Yeah, and he just said, we've got nothing to lose. Let's just go for it. We're going out. Let's just have a go. And I think with a past game against Basel, I think that gave him confidence and the atmosphere. As soon as we got one back, you can just feel it. It's coming. It's coming. But the last goal, Massimo, I don't know if you remember, the lad has a chance to clear it and miskicks it to me.
Yeah.
And I think if he clears that ball, then the game's over, I think, because we wouldn't have got time to get the ball back from in goal from Brad all the way up the field. And like I said, little bits of luck in big games you need, and we got it. And like I say, Massimo got on the end of one with a great header.
That was I sent Sarah the commentary of it was Ali's commentary of the game, and
famous, innit?
Oh God, it was just it's just it's just in the area. It was just it's just momentous. You know what I mean? And I think even more so now he's not here with us. That it's just you just hear it and it just makes you just well up and just get upset because he was an amazing guy anyway. But the love he had for our football club and that night especially was just an unbelievable night, but made better for the way that he just described it all and it unfolded. It was just surreal.
I think he said everyone around his house got a palm. We went to the corner house, then got a palm. But
then again, you know what I mean?
You could hear the emotion, couldn't you?
Yeah. But that's just the way he did it though. Aside that you know what I mean? That was commentary at his best. You know what I mean? That he did that. If you were playing Macclesfield Town away, that he'd have the same love and the same desire. But you know what I mean? It was big moments in big football games that he just let himself go, and you know what I mean? He'll always be remembered for that in Middlesbrough especially.
Yeah, he's a good fellow, one great fellow.
Yeah, quite fella,
so just to wrap up, really, guys, you can follow Andy on Twitter at Andy Campbell 32. Stu, you're not on Twitter, are you?
Nah, keep myself off there. There's too much abuse.
That's only by me. That's normally by me.
Yeah. You can follow me at acecast_nation. Also, big thank you to Away Day Apparel for sponsoring the show. You visit www.awaydayapparel.co.uk and you can use the code AA Podcast Nation, all in lowercase, and you can get 10% off all orders from there. And we thank them for their ongoing support. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Best way to support the channel. And check us out on Facebook, etc. All that good stuff. The audio version of this show will be out tomorrow morning. Danny Batten Fight Show is out tomorrow. Danny Batten Fight Show live Thursday. Plus we've got Keeping It Real. And Sunday we have My Story, episode number 5, with none other than Cardiff City legend, Mr. Scott Young, which is a
legend.
Absolute legend. Stuart, I really, really appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you coming in last minute and a week early. Top man.
I do.
No problem. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Stewie, can you do me that thing for me?
What is it?
He's forgotten the names.
I know he has, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. Go on.
Dylan and Shea.
Hi, Dylan and Shea. Are they watching the show, are
they?
Yeah.
Hi, Dylan and Shea. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Listen to our stories. Are they still playing football, are they?
They both play, mate. Yeah, they both play. Yeah.
Hope you're working hard, listening to your coaches, and most of all, enjoy it.
Top man. Cheers, Stu.
Top man.
Cheers, lad.
And if you ever need any tips, Shay and Dylan, you know where to come.
Uncle Si.
This guy. Oh yes. Don't listen to these two. What do they know?
Hey, you got it wrong there.
They know.
You got it wrong there, didn't you?
I do it all the time.
See, listen to him. Not him.
In reverse. Yeah. Rubbish. Right. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you two. Andy, pleasure as always. Stuart, an honour, my friend. Thank you. And to play us out, we'll have the usual Andy Campbell clip. if I can work out how to do it this week, if I played the wrong